Any good ancient-style rebirth romance novels? Asterisk palace walls, old secrets asterisk. It feels like I've forgotten someone. Everyone says he's my fiance, but I clearly remember. The man I loved for 10 years was Shen Jingmo. Then I woke one day to strange looks and words. You and General Shen have never crossed paths. Old dreams, completed, asterisk asterisk. Miss, General Shen is getting married today. The master and madam are waiting in the front hall to go with you. Evening light slanted through the lattice window. Settling on the faint scar around my wrist, I sat before the mirror in a daze, silently pinning a pearl flower into my hair. The woman in the reflection was beautiful, yes, but deathly pale, already waning like a day at its close that a few months ago I fell from a cliff. Ever since I woke, my body has weakened day by day. Worse still is the anguish in my heart. Who is the bride? The maid outside paused, then answered softly. The second daughter of the Lu family, Miss Lu Zeqian. I wilted against the window, a bitter, hollow laugh escaping me. Another second Miss Lu, and Shen Jingmo, cough. If only I truly had amnesia. But my memories of Shen Jingmo are carved into my mind with agonizing clarity. Yet to the rest of the world, they are nothing but vapor. I am the only one who remembers. The depth of that love has become, today, a blade in my chest. Did he mention me? The maid hesitated. No, he merely said the Bai family is invited to the wedding banquet. I see. In the mirror, my lips were painted bright crimson. I rose that my fiance was about to marry another. An hour later, in the Shen family's great hall, I pressed a dagger against my throat, standing before the house full of guests, voice trembling. Shen Jingmo, if you dare marry her, I will die right here, in your family's hall tonight. Shen Jingmo stood in the center of the room, eyes as deep as fathomless pools. Polished by years of wind and frost, that brash young colt had become a restrained, honed blade, a mellow, rich wine. Tall and imposing, his shoulder had once been my firmest support. Now it cradled Lu Zeqian. The crowd was terrified. No one dared approach. Whispers rippled through the hall. That's the woman who's been pestering General Shen. Fell off a cliff, addled her brain. Now fancies herself his fiance and keeps trying to break them up. Third time this month. Shen Jingmo held Lu Zeqian close and looked on with cold indifference. Missed by a first time, a second time. There will not be a third. My heart twisted like a rag. I laughed, and laughter blurred into tears. I first met Shen Jingmo long ago. He was 17 or 18 then, galloping through the long street. The first time I blocked his horse, he looked down coldly and asked, "Do you have a death wish?" The second time, he reined in sharply, frost all over him. "Are you blind?" The third time, a smile finally touched his eyes. "Miss Bai, once is a mistake, twice is foolish. The third time is fate. Get on." I reached out my hand. That one reach bound us for 10 years. I once had all his favor, his doting, his spoiling. Proud Miss Bai, utterly spoiled by him. That autumn night, under the high bright moon, Shen Jingmo's fingers traced through my hair. "Yuanxiang, marry me. I've waited too long. The general's mansion will recognize only one mistress, you." Then came an autumn rain, and an accident that I fell from a cliff. When I woke, everything had changed. When I spoke of the past, they all looked at me as if I were a monster. They said only, "It is the second Miss Lu who has been entwined with General Shen. The Bai family has never had any dealings with him." Everyone believes I struck my head and jumbled my memories. Only I know how vivid those memories of Shen Jingmo are. How impossibly clear. I lay sick, waiting day after day. Then one day, someone came to my bedside. A man in spotless white robes, a gentleman as warm and smooth as jade, as radiant as the bright moon. He seemed to have just returned from court, still damp with dew. His ink-black hair clinging wetly. He knelt beside my bed, gently hooked my little finger, his eyes brimming with tenderness and heartache. Yuanxiang, you must get better. Looking at him, the restlessness in my heart slowly stilled. My mother told me he was Lu Zeqian, brother to Lu Chua, General Shen's bride-to-be, and my own betrothed. That I pushed him away and turned my back. That Lu Zeqian sighed. If you want to see him, I'll go with you. That day, I overheard the maids whispering meaningfully in the outer room. Master Lu has been investigating the young Mrs. Fall day and night, barely eating or drinking. He came to see her the moment he got back, and still she wounds him. I curled up in my room, tears streaming. What could I do? I remember nothing. Just as Shen Jingmo doesn't remember me. Tonight, the candles blazed bright, and beside him stood Lu Chua, such a radiant, exquisite beauty. I was so jealous that I smiled and smiled. Then a sudden metallic sweetness welled in my chest, blood spattering across my green gauze skirt. My body gave way like a bird shot from the sky. Pitching forward, the last moment someone caught me, his voice bare with heartache. Yuanxiang, did it come to this? A flicker of joy surged through me. That I murmured, Jingmo, you finally admit. I looked up. That in the dazzling brightness I saw another face. His brows were drawn, not sharp and fierce like Shen Jingmo's. His eyes not dark and looming. Thin lips, soft lines, eyes like autumn lakes shimmering with fine light, at a beauty like the solitary bright moon. Lu Zeqian was pale with distress, his snow-white sleeves stained with blood, yet he paid it no mind, supporting me firmly, his voice tender but steady. Yuanxiang, I'm taking you home. Home. I lifted my head with great effort, looking past him to Shen Jingmo's still, deep eyes. That I laughed bitterly. Where is my home now? Shen Jingmo said nothing. He ignored Lu Chua's tearful sobbing and simply stood there, silent. He truly doesn't know me anymore. That boy who smiled at me, reached out his hand, and said with bright confidence, get on. He doesn't know me. That I collapsed against Lu Zeqian's shoulder, pain giving way to numbness, breathing in slow, feeble gasps. Please, take me home. Never in my life have I, Bai Yuanxiang, been so utterly wretched. That on the road back, neither of us spoke. That I leaned against the soft cushion, all strength drained. One thought circled endlessly in my mind. Shen Jingmo is marrying someone else. Lu Zeqian brought medicine and carefully dressed the wound on my neck. Yuanxiang, sleep well tonight. Tomorrow I'll take you to Pinecone Mountain to clear your mind. I opened my eyes and caught his sleeve. I forgot you. Does it hurt you this much, too? His hand paused. After a long moment, his voice came rough. Yes, that it hurts me too. I'm sorry. Tears slid from the corners of my eyes. I don't know what went wrong. That I don't want to cause you pain, but I can barely save myself. Lu Zeqian slowly drew me into his arms. Yuanxiang, you're just ill. Do you still remember how I once folded 1,000 paper cranes for you? I followed his words back into the past. The memories rose, clear as letters pulled from an old chest. In the darkness I whispered. I remembered on my 15th birthday, you gave me so many paper cranes. Later, at my house, you and Chua argued over a bowl of soup. You dumped the bowl over her head. A warmth bloomed in my heart, and I almost smiled. Yes. I couldn't stand Chua for a long time. When you came back, I complained first and made her cry. That day he gently scolded Chua. Don't bully Yuanxiang. She's your future sister-in-law. The carriage rolled over a rut. I slumped forward limply. Lu Zeqian caught me, holding me so tightly it was as if he wanted to meld me into his very bones. It's all right. Take your time that I can wait that as long as our Yuanxiang is well. I'm not afraid of anything. My thoughts in turmoil. I nodded wearily and slipped into sleep. In my dream, I saw Shen Jingmo's face. Rain pounded the window, and we lay tangled together. Breath mingled, heat rising. He pressed me into the bed and loosened my clothes. Yuanxiang. That low, husky voice. Yuanxiang. Two voices overlapped, and I jerked awake. In the darkness, Lu Zeqian was holding me. Yuanxiang. We're home. You were dreaming. You're drenched in sweat. I gave a low murmur. What did you dream? The image was too shameful to speak of. The rough, burning sensation seemed still to linger on my chest. I blushed and denied it. Nothing. We stepped down from the carriage that I froze. He had brought me to the Lu residence. Lu Zeqian explained. Your mother collapsed from the shock tonight. The Bai household is busy fetching a doctor. There's no one to look after you. I stood staring at the horse in front of the gate. What are you looking at? He came over and took my hand that I pointed. I've seen that horse. Shen Jingmo had ridden that horse when he reached out for me. The servant nearby grinned. Naturally, Miss Bai would recognize it. You blocked our young master 3 times. Every time while he rode this horse. You could call it a love token. I was confused that I did block a horse, but the rider was Shen Jingmo, General Shen. The name slipped out before I could stop it. The servant's grin vanished, his face turning dark. Is Miss Bai planning to snatch even this memory and hand it to General Shen? Lu Zeqian frowned. Lu Shi. The servant, Lu Shi, grew heated. I've held my tongue about everything else. When the young master first came to the capital, Miss Bai blocked his horse 3 times that he fell in love, became a changed man, obeyed her every word. Now she wakes up and shifts her affections. What is this? If you won't feel wronged, I'll feel wronged for him. Just because Shen Jingmo is a general, he's the one who rides a horse. Our young master gave up horses for Miss Bai, and all he gets is to stand by and watch her, pining for another. Stung by the reproach, I felt a moment of utter helplessness. I'm sorry, since I woke. Apologizing has become my constant state. They say I've gone mad, that I'm not normal. My parents' heartbreak. Lu Zeqian's desperately concealed disappointment. Shen Jingmo's near indifferent stares. Each is a knife in my heart that I flail in a bog of pain, showing the world only guilt. Never a single day of peace that I raised my head, confused, meeting his slightly damp eyes. You can ride too? Pain flickered through Lu Zeqian's eyes. You stopped me 3 times. The 3rd time, I took you riding. You were so frightened that I never rode again after that. My thoughts moved slowly, piecing it together. He was a civil official, but it was he who saved the emperor during a hunt. He could ride, and his martial skills were excellent. The image of Shen Jingmo in my mind gradually faded, replaced by Lu Zeqian in white robes on horseback. The first time, he was neither warm nor cold, just brushed past me. The second time, his handsome brows drew together in a stern warning. Miss, you must not treat your life as a game. The third, he reached out his hand to me once more, and said with a helpless sigh, Get on. I will take you home. But once on the horse, I was so frightened I wept. That same day, Lu Zeqian came to my home and bowed before my parents, vowing, Since Yuanxiang dislikes me riding fast, from now on, I will never touch a horse again. A sudden pain shot through my heart that it had always been Lu Zeqian. It was I, who had remembered wrong. That I hugged him back. I'm sorry, Zeqian, that I have been ill. Day by day, I recovered. Shen Jingmo seemed to have faded into a yellowed sheet of paper, buried deep in my memory, left in the dust. By the time I was well enough to see others, it was the day Lu Qiue returned home for her first visit after marriage. I stood far off on the steps and watched Shen Jingmo step down from the carriage. He wore dark robes with a tight waist sash, looking gallant and spirited. Now that I took my medicine every morning and evening, my emotions were much steadier. Seeing the two of them together no longer grated on my eyes. Lu Zhiyu followed right behind him, calling out, "Husband." When Shen Jingmo turned, she extended her hand. He seemed caught off guard by her gesture, frozen for a long moment, his expression gradually softening. Then he took her hand and lifted her down from the carriage. Before I knew it, the autumn wind had risen, the air turning cool. The crabapple blossoms by the corner wall were in full bloom, clusters upon clusters, according to my maid. When Lu Zeqian had planted them months ago, they were half dead. Now that my health had improved, even the flowers looked prettier, a sign of harmony and happiness between Lu Zeqian and me. Hearing that, I smiled faintly. Crabapple blossoms are too sorrowful, I don't like them. The maid, not understanding, shook out a heavy cloak and draped it over my shoulders. "Miss Bai, it's cold. The master instructed you to wear more layers." The cloak was made of fiery red fox fur and was warm around me. Lu Zeqian had unearthed this rare treasure from who knows where, and used it all for my sake. That I stood still, slowly stroking the soft fur. When Shen Jingmo turned around, he saw me. From that distance, a single glance, a single look, and yet my hand clenched suddenly. In that instant, there was the tiniest pause. It was an unconscious detail from him, but it set off a storm inside me. He knows me. My heart pounded fiercely beneath my ribs. The maid glanced at me, puzzled, then followed my gaze. "General Shen? Miss Bai, you are Madame Shen's future sister-in-law. From now on, you are family. Of course you would know each other." She didn't understand. This subtle sense of recognition was mine alone to feel. If I wasn't gravely ill, then something else was hidden beneath. "Yuanxiang, how long have you been standing here?" Lu Zeqian's voice came from behind, low and slightly hoarse. That strange sense of dissonance, along with Lu Zeqian's appearance, surged back. When I turned around, a bright smile was already on my face. "You're back early today. Why did you come through the back gate?" Lu Zeqian was travel-worn and paused. "Were you waiting for me? There's soup warming on the stove. Qiuyue and the others will certainly have eaten already, but you haven't." I spoke while looking down. Hearing no response for a long while, I raised my head and saw a faint glimmer of moisture in Lu Zeqian's eyes. "Yuanxiang, you remembered me. I am very happy." I smiled gently. "I've been standing in the wind. I'm cold all over." Lu Zeqian took my hand, warming it in his palm for a moment. "If you're tired, you don't need to go to the front hall. I haven't seen Qiuyue in a long time." He understood my meaning and offered no objection. I followed Lu Zeqian to the main hall. It had rained the day before, and the air was still damp. Lu Qiuyue's light, cheerful voice drifted out. "These are the roses I planted before I married. In a few days I'll pick them and make jam with a little honey. It's sure to be delicious." "Qiuyue," Lu Zeqian called, and both Lu Qiuyue and Shen Jingmo turned around. Lu Qiuyue was petite, only reaching Shen Jingmo's shoulder. Standing together, they were a handsome couple, perfectly matched. She saw me and looked a bit uneasy. "Sister-in-law, I hope you're feeling better." I looked straight ahead and smiled. "Much better." Lu Zeqian's gaze had never left me, a faint smile on his lips. "Yuanxiang, I'm a little hungry." I hesitated for a moment. "All right. Then let's go back to our quarters and have some hot soup to tide you over. I've been working all day. I can't walk another step." Lu Zeqian rarely showed such a temper. Lu Qiuyue hid a laugh behind her hand. "Brother and sister-in-law are so affectionate that I am relieved." Right in front of Shen Jingmo and Lu Qiuyue, Lu Zeqian monopolized a bowl of hot soup. He blew on a spoonful to cool it, then brought the first taste to my lips. It's not too hot. Try some. I felt a little awkward, but met his persistent gaze and opened my mouth. Lu Zeqian's eyes darkened. He slowly wiped my lips with his thumb, his tone gentle. Look at you, making a mess of your food. Since it was Lu Qiuyue's first return home, naturally a meal was to be shared with Shen Jingmo. After some pleasantries, Lu Zeqian and Shen Jingmo sat together discussing court affairs that I sat with Lu Qiuyue. She seemed rather frightened and spoke with great caution that I smiled and took her hand. My memory has been poor lately. Please forgive me for the other day. This is a small token to congratulate you and General Shen on your marriage. I transferred a few of my family's properties to her name. Lu Qiuyue repeatedly declined. Sister-in-law, how could I accept this? I pressed her hand firmly, my tone steady and resolute. What I give, I never take back. I had long heard that Miss Bai is decisive. Meeting you today, I see your reputation is well-deserved. Shen Jingmo's voice was faint and ambiguous as he looked over from across the table, leaving me unable to read his meaning. Husband. Lu Qiuyue hesitated. Shen Jingmo replied carelessly. Take it if she gives it, don't waste your sister-in-law's kindness. His tone was rather unkind, as if he were standing up for Lu Qiuyue, thinking I had bullied her. Find out if he didn't acknowledge me. So be it that I had been weak and easily bullied during my illness, but my nature was far from gentle that I stared coldly back at him across the space, the air tense with animosity. Yuanxiang, if you're tired, let me see you back. Lu Zeqian broke the impasse at just the right moment that I rose a little too hastily and swayed before steadying myself. Before leaving, I smiled at Lu Qiuyue and said, the kitchen is also stewing water chestnut sweet soup today. Consider it my apology. Lu Qiuyue pursed her lips and gave a shy smile. That's all in the past. Please don't mention it, sister-in-law. What happened? Shen Jingmo interjected. Lu Qiuyue said, back when sister-in-law first came to the house, we quarreled over a bowl of water chestnut soup. My smile slowly faded, and the hand inside my sleeve clenched tightly, nails digging into my palm. Turning, I met Lu Zeqian's gentle and focused gaze, and my heart thumped, and I lowered my head to walk past him. We walked in silence. Lu Zeqian stayed right beside me. Almost at the door of my room, I stopped. I'm here. You should go back now. You don't trust me. Lu Zeqian's calm voice cut me off. Just now, you were testing Qiuyue to see if that old incident truly happened. I held my breath, my back to Lu Zeqian, and said nothing. Yuanxiang, what exactly are you afraid of? Lu Zeqian's voice trembled. He slowly embraced me from behind. Are you afraid that I used sorcery on you? I closed my eyes. Rumor had it that in the western regions there was an illusion art that could replace a person's memories with mere words. Suddenly, Lu Zeqian pulled me into the room. With a bang, he pressed me against the door, his large hand shielding the back of my head. His eyes were bloodshot, his face sickly pale. Only then did I realize he had been working for days without proper rest. Bai Yuanxiang, do you have a heart at all? If I had used sorcery on you, he drew a deep breath, clear tears falling. If I had used sorcery on you to deceive all these people, I would have long drained my heart's blood dry. I wouldn't still be here, standing beside you. My breathing grew very, very light. In this moment, Lu Zeqian was terrifyingly fragile that I recognized that look. When someone is hurt to the extreme, the hopelessness in their eyes is suffocating. I could deceive you alone, but how could I deceive everyone? Lu Zeqian pressed his forehead firmly against my shoulder. Lu Zeqian, let go of me. If you don't want me to die, then don't move. He murmured faintly. The light in the room slowly dimmed. I don't know how much time passed before I felt a burning heat from my shoulder. He had developed a fever. I laid one hand on his forehead and softly called. Lu Zeqian, he murmured. I am here. Yuanxiang, don't be afraid. I am here. Then, he collapsed onto me. Lu Zeqian fell ill. Days of overwork, combined with fury, had struck him down like a landslide. The physician examined him, prescribed some medicine, and hesitated before leaving. Miss? It is an affliction of the heart. Medicine and remedies are useless. That day, I sat from noon until dusk. Light and shadow traced Lu Zeqian's gaunt, elegant profile. He had a clear, moon-like beauty, like an autumn crescent, and his sickly pallor only made him more heart-wrenching. The Lu household was no great noble clan with deep roots. Years ago, Lu Zeqian had brought the young Lu Zhiyu to the capital to make a living, relying on his own efforts to reach where he was today. That a young servant crouched by the bed, weeping inconsolably. Our master has shouldered too much in these turbulent times. Everyone knows a military man is valuable, but Miss Bai was afraid, so he put away his edge and willingly took up the path of a civil official. Now, you still stab him in the heart. Does Miss know how to write the word conscience? Lu Zeqian's hand twitched. He opened his eyes and weakly said, Lu, sure. Get out. The room returned to silence. He tried to rise, but I pressed him back down. Would you like some water? Let me help you drink. Lu Zeqian nodded, his gaze resting on me as if on a rare treasure. I awkwardly avoided his eyes. Moisten your throat first. That it's time for your medicine. Lu Zeqian stiffened for a moment, then turned his head away unnaturally. I'll take it in a while. It's already cooled. I picked up the bowl, watched him for a while, and suddenly found it amusing. Are you afraid of the bitterness? Lu Zeqian almost immediately retorted, No, I'll drink it right now. This illness eased the tension between Lu Zeqian and me. As the weather grew colder, Lu Zeqian took leave from court to rest at home. In 2 months, it would be the end of the year. Charcoal braziers were lit early in the room. I put on a thick padded coat and sat by the fire, cutting paper window decorations. Lu Zeqian's complexion had improved greatly, so he sat cutting them with me. His fingers were dexterous and slender. Though clumsy at first and teased by me a few times, he soon mastered the skill, and his work became even finer than mine. One day, when I handed the paper cuts to the servants, I said, The new year is coming. Share these among yourselves and paste them on the windows for good fortune. A few bold maidservants picked through them, and in the end, Lu Zeqian's were the first to be taken. He watched with a gentle gaze as everyone dispersed, a faint smile rippling at the corners of his eyes. Yuanxiang, and you still call yourself the teacher? I crumpled a piece of paper and threw it at him. You're just gloating. As soon as the words left my mouth, he suddenly grabbed my wrist. Caught off guard, I fell against his solid chest. Lu Zeqian's eyes hid a deep desire. His voice was soft. Yuanxiang, after the Lantern Festival, will you marry me? In that moment, I almost gave in and said yes. He was perfect in every way. If only I could, I would have offered him my whole heart, complete and unblemished. But matters of the heart, they can't be foreseen. If I said yes to him, who would I be fooling? Lu Zeqian or myself? Just say I was ill, my mind broken, clinging to a phantom memory, falling in love with a man in a dream. I watched the light in Lu Zeqian's eyes die out inch by inch, until only a hollow stillness remained. He said nothing. He simply released me and tidied my collar. I've gotten quite good at cutting paper window flowers. I hope I won't be out of practice by next year. I forced the corners of my mouth up. You forget, I'll be here to teach you. A sudden, brilliant light flared in Lu Zeqian's eyes. A slow smile spread across his face, dazzling me. All right. A few days before the new year, It snowed that mother's illness had grown grave. Father told me not to come home, for fear of upsetting her further. Better to use this time to grow closer to Lu Zeqian. Rumors about me had already been circulating. The Bai family's young miss was so desperate to wed that she'd moved into her fiance's residence, brazen and improper, but the talk was suppressed within days. That night, Lu Zeqian returned with frost dusting his hair. As he shrugged off his cloak, he remarked offhandedly, "Bai Yuanxiang. No one speaks a word against her." He smiled freely, joyfully, and my spirits lifted and turned. Lu Zeqian held his hands over the brazier to warm them. "In a few days, when the snow stops, His Majesty will go deer hunting at Songzi Mountain. Years ago, I gave you that snow rabbit. You liked it. I'll catch a few more for you this time, to keep as pets." I scratched my head. "Actually, no need. Why not?" I frowned. They didn't taste very good. A brief blankness crossed Lu Zeqian's face before he burst out laughing. "Yuanxiang, those were for you to keep as pets." That sent a hot blush rushing to my cheeks that I turned away in a huff. "Just send whatever you like." Then, Lu Zeqian reined in his laughter and came to coax me. "If you like eating them, I'll get you some gray hairs instead." The day we set out for Songzi Mountain, the snow had yet to melt. The mountain path was slick with ice. Horses couldn't climb it. His Majesty was in high spirits, so everyone had to follow on foot. That I wore a pomegranate red padded coat. Lu Zeqian had specially ordered a layer of white fox fur added to the collar to ward off the cold. He held my hand as we walked, saying, "The mountain is vast and sparsely peopled. If you get lost, whatever you do, don't take off your coat. I'll always be able to find you." "All right," I answered lightly, tightening my fingers around his icy hand. His back stiffened for a moment, then gradually relaxed. Even his steps grew lighter. "Sister-in-law," a cheerful voice called. I turned toward the sound. Lu Ziyue's cheeks were flushed pink as she waved at me. Shen Jingmo stood beside her, silent as always, letting her tug at his sleeve as they climbed. His gaze brushed over my hand, then shifted away. Lu Zeqian stopped, looked back to make sure I was on steady ground, and then began chatting idly with Shen Jingmo. "General Shen, you'll be going to war after the new year, won't you?" Shen Jingmo grunted in acknowledgement. "I leave in the first month. Winter campaigns are tough. With someone waiting for you back in the capital, take good care of yourself, General." Lu Zeqian smiled. Shen Jingmo's expression grew increasingly unreadable. After a long pause, he gave another grunt. A short while later, the chief eunuch from His Majesty's side approached and bowed to Lu Zeqian. His Majesty was just praising Lord Lu before the Empress. "Her Highness wishes to see you. She sent me to escort you." Lu Zeqian responded with neither humility nor arrogance. "This humble official obeys." The eunuch's gaze slid past, and he smiled. "Ah, Madam Shen is here as well. Perfect timing. Please come along too." Lu Zeqian was basking in favor, and Lu Ziyue shared in that glory. This was a deliberate move to elevate the Lu family. Lu Zeqian glanced at me, a trace of hesitation in his eyes. "Your shoes and stockings are wet. Don't wander off. Wait for me here." I reassured him. "Go on. I'll wait right here." A bleak wind blew. I wrapped my cloak tighter and stood beneath a pine tree. Snow weighed down the branches. A clump fell with a soft thud. "When does Miss Bai plan to marry?" Shen Jingmo's flat voice broke the silence. The crowd around us had thinned. Only the baggage train remained, and because there was so much, they'd hired a few mules to haul it up the mountain. "Probably after the new year," I answered offhandedly. Shen Jingmo shifted slightly, placing himself between me and the mule train. "Lu Zeqian truly cares for you. He always knew how to provoke me. Was he saying that because he feared I'd be throwing myself at a man who wasn't him? You don't need to tell me that. I knew I was being sharp-tongued and bitter that I meant to be. He fell silent and turned to watch the mules pass. Whoosh! A light slicing sound broke the mountain stillness. A scream followed. One of the baggage handlers was struck dead center in the forehead, dead. The body crumpled into the snow with a muffled thud. It all happened in an instant. Then chaos erupted, shouts and killing cries everywhere. Brothers, finish this job. We'll have a fat new year. I knew at once. We'd run into bandits. Shen Jingmo instantly seized my wrist. Run! A rough roar came from behind. Stop that man and woman. They're carrying the most valuables. Footsteps pounded behind us. Dense and chaotic, my shoes and stockings were already soaked. Even being pulled, I couldn't run fast. In that desperate moment, I yanked the gold hairpin from my hair and flung it far away. Gold. Unless you're blind, you know its worth. The hairpin lodged in a crevice between rocks, distracting the bandits for a precious moment. I summoned every ounce of energy and raced after Shen Jingmo. Branches whipped mercilessly against my skin. In a flash, the figure running ahead of me overlapped with a memory. Yuanxiang, I'm wounded. I can't hold out much longer. Be good. I'll hold them off. Run forward. Don't look back. Yuanxiang, don't let my death be for nothing. Miss Bai. Miss Bai. Shen Jingmo's voice jolted me back. I'm here. There are too many. I can't win a battle of attrition. Our best chance is to flee. But our luck's poor. The cold isn't deep enough, so we may have to suffer. I followed his gaze. The river hadn't frozen. Emerald water rushed through the gorge. Without a word, Shen Jingmo turned and began unfastening my collar. I was panting. Are we jumping? Yes. A waterlogged cloak is dead weight. These bandits are vicious. They struck to kill instantly just now. If we don't run, we die. A sharp glint hid in Shen Jingmo's eyes. We'll strike back eventually, in a rush. I hesitated only a moment. Fine. I shed my cloak, and the bone-chilling cold clung to me like a sickness, making me shiver uncontrollably. Shen Jingmo glanced at me, then said abruptly, Miss Bai, forgive my impertinence. With that, he wrapped his arms tightly around me and leaped. Splash. Icy water flooded my mouth and nose. My ears filled with nothing but the rushing sound. I held my breath as long as I could, but still choked down several mouthfuls. Crude curses rained down from above. I struggled to the surface, shaking with cold. The current was swift. I grabbed hold of a rock and tried to swim toward the bank. Miss Bai, Shen Jingmo reached for me again, but I shook him off violently. He simply seized my arm with greater force and dragged me toward the shore. Furious, I spat. I can manage on my own. Let go of me. Behave. That casual command did nothing to soothe the agitation burning inside me. It only stoked my rage. I thrashed wildly. General Shen, you're a married man. Have you no sense of propriety between men and women? I, Bai Yuanxiang, am no coward clinging to life. I didn't need you to jump with me. Shen Jingmo suddenly spun, hoisted me over his shoulder, and growled through clenched teeth. Below us is a bed of jagged rocks. If you don't want to be smashed to pieces, shut your mouth. I was nearly hysterical. Put me down. Shen Jingmo, have you no shame? With our lives at stake, what use is shame? One more word, and I'll toss you in to feed the fish. He was utterly unmoved, acting like a complete brute. Only when he dumped me on the bank did he shed his outer robe, and, with no room for refusal, guide my hand to his left arm. Set the joint. Only then did I notice that his arm dangled limp and useless. It was dislocated. I don't have the strength for that. It's fine. Hold it steady. I'll do it myself. Shen Jingmo's brow knitted slightly. His ink-black hair clung to his hard jawline, water droplets tracing the lines of his skin and rolling down his broad chest. He clenched his teeth, pulled outward with a sharp tug. There was a loud pop, then found the right angle and shoved inward. His fingers moved freely again, and the very first thing he did next was reach over to lift my skirt. Shen Jingmo, I scolded, moving to pull away, but he hooked my ankle. Eyes lowered, his movements swift and skilled. He said, "Your leg's scraped raw. It's still bleeding. Don't move." He tore strips from his own clothing and tied a rough bandage around the wound that I shivered from the cold, fury burning in my chest, yet I couldn't vent it. What was this? He looked up at the sky. There'll be snow soon. If we can't find a way out of the mountains before then, the two of us will be trapped here and freeze to death. Yuanxiang, can you stand? The moment the words left his mouth, even he froze. The name Yuanxiang rolled off his tongue with a familiar, effortless ease. This scene, this moment, it had played out in my dreams 100 times that I stared at him for a long beat, then abruptly got to my feet and walked away without looking back. That I thought, I might as well die here. Why torment me? He clearly remembers. The name Yuanxiang comes so easily to him, yet he refuses to acknowledge it. Shen Jingmo was an irredeemable scoundrel. Bai Yuanxiang. Shen Jingmo followed. Don't call my name. I snapped, stalking forward. My name isn't for you to speak. You've taken a wife. You should abide by a husband's virtue. Don't follow me. I marched on in fury. Shen Jingmo kept behind me, only offering a quiet word when I strayed off course. As we emerged from the forest, a biting wind swept over us. Miss Bai, stop. Shen Jingmo's voice was grim. It's starting to snow. Wind whistled through the trees, carrying flakes of snow. That I raised my head to the dark, oppressive sky, my heart sinking into an abyss. Heavy snowfall would seal the mountain pass. We wouldn't get out. After the cold would come hunger. Cold and hunger together were the cruelest torture. How could we endure? In General Shen's opinion, what should we do? Shen Jingmo hacked through the thick undergrowth. We find shelter. Years ago, before Songzi Mountain became an imperial hunting ground, hunters used to live here. Now, many years later, they'd long since moved away. Only bandits roamed these parts, plundering and killing. The hunters' old cabins had mostly collapsed. That I stood before a dilapidated thatched hut and frowned. Shen Jingmo sliced through the rusted lock with his blade, pushed the door open, and waved away the billowing dust. Looking back and seeing me still rooted in place, he said, "Cold or filth? Pick one." Could his tongue speak no better? This man was worlds apart from the one in my dreams. In my dreams, he was far more tender. Here before me, he was utterly infuriating. I'd twisted my ankle. I limped past Shen Jingmo and said coolly, "I appreciate your trouble, General Shen." Inside the hut, a fire now blazed, but in a house with wind seeping through every crack, the flame flickered precariously. Shen Jingmo sat with his back to the crack in the door, silently feeding the fire. The flames lit his profile, sharp, chiseled lines. They said Shen Jingmo was a wolf. He had spent years campaigning in the north, killed more men than he had eaten meals. That I wondered if his heart was as hard as northern ice. That I leaned against the damp, mildewed straw and drifted into a fitful sleep. That I in the dream. Crisp hoofbeats rang out from a distant battlefield. It was the end of the year in the north, tranquil and peaceful. The door opened, and frost and snow sifted in. "Yuanxiang, I'm back." I tumbled into a man's arms, cold, thick with the smell of blood, yet so tight it seemed he would crush me into his bones. "Yuanxiang, we won. Tai Yuntai is dead. That will have a good new year." I heard my own gentle voice. You've gotten me all dirty. He ruffled my hair roughly, then pulled a blood-stained hairpin from his robe, silver. Your man nearly died at Tai Yuntai's hands for this a hug too much to ask. Then wipe it clean and put it in for me. Spoiled, Bai Yuanxiang. I murmured, half opening my eyes. Shen Jingmo's face hovered close, his hand on my forehead. His expression was grim. You're sick. I slowly came back to myself. Realizing I'd been dreaming again, the surging emotions slowly subsided into a dead calm that I shook off his hand, cold. Is it any wonder, the way I'm always sick? Must you always speak with such a sting? I'm only telling the truth. If you knew what I'd just dreamed, you'd probably want to keep your distance. What did you dream? I dreamed that Tai Yuntai is dead. A long silence. Then Shen Jingmo shook his head with a soft laugh. Miss Bai, you're unkind to me. And you're even harsher to our dynasty's enemies. If those savages knew you'd curse their Khan to death in your dreams, they'd ride straight to the capital to drag you back. I stared at the freshly kindled fire on the ground and smiled faintly. Yes, he's alive and well, that I'm just sick. What northern borderland? What news of victory? And that bloodied silver hairpin, still warm in Shen Jingmo's hand. Where had any of it come from? General Shen, I apologize for my earlier rudeness. Shen Jingmo shot me a surprised look, then lowered his eyes and built up the fire. The night will be cold, and tomorrow when the snow melts it'll be even worse. Be ready. By the third day of our entrapment, I was bedridden, sickness crushing me like a mountain. Blazing heat and bitter cold made my suffering unspeakable. That I stayed alive only on the scraps of food Shen Jingmo managed to scavenge each day. He shifted me from the ground onto his lap, and, with practiced hands, poured water into my mouth. I opened my eyes weakly, throat chapped and burning. Don't bother with me. Save the supplies until the snow melts. Bai Yuanxiang, so young and already so full of melancholy, live. He didn't stop, continuing to pour water into my mouth that I choked, and a thread of blood spilled from my lips that I smiled. See, it's as if I won't last much longer. Are you a jinx? It was meant as a joke, but Shen Jingmo's face darkened. Terrifyingly grim, he fed me a little more water in silence, then said suddenly, then I'll keep my distance. He piled all his clothes on top of me and truly sat far away, in nothing but his inner robe, pressing his back against the draft from the door, that I in this bitter cold, a face and hands left uncovered would freeze solid in no time. He was pitting thin fabric against the wind and frost, a sure way to freeze to death. Come closer, I said, unable to watch him die of cold. No need. General Shen is as stubborn as a mule. Takes one to know one. Time blurred. My fever-addled mind could no longer tell dreams from reality. Sometimes I would seize Shen Jingmo's hand and ramble on and on to him. Other times, I would catch his calm, impassive face and realize I must have been mistaken. He knew nothing of the things I told him. He merely cared for me like a patient. Yuanxiang, don't cry. I love you. I've always loved you. I slowly opened my eyes, moving my lips, a thread of breath asking, what did you just say? Shen Jingmo didn't move. I said nothing. My eyes unfocused, and understanding dawned. Ah, it's the one in my dream calling me. I have to go with him. Suddenly my wrist was seized, the sharp pain jolting me fully awake. Shen Jingmo said, the snow has melted enough today that we leave tomorrow. Even the king of hell must ask me first if he wants to take someone. I managed, for once, to rally my spirits and noticed that Shen Jingmo's face was even paler than usual. Hidden beneath his dark hair, there was a patch of dried blood, already black. When were you hurt? I asked. It must have been from the day we jumped, ambushed by the mountain bandits and struck in the back. That was likely why he'd refused to let me see his back, that he wouldn't bend, and so he'd ignored his own health, needlessly putting himself at risk. None of your concern. Look after yourself. The last flame died, plunging us into darkness. With Shen Jingmo's skills, gathering dry firewood would have been nothing. Now he let the fire go out for only one reason. His wounds were too severe, and he could no longer move. Cold sank deep into the bone that we sat, each in our own corner, facing each other in the silence of the dark. To be buried here, General Shen, you can't be willing to accept that. Shen Jingmo said flatly. To be buried together with you. Not so bad. Aren't you afraid I'll crawl out of the grave in the middle of the night and keep you from resting in peace? In the darkness, his breathing grew faint. No answered. I abruptly raised my voice. Shen Jingmo. I propped myself up and struggled over to him, feeling for his breath. That dark shape said, I'm not dead yet. From the sound of it, not far from it, the harsh mountain wind poured in from every direction. The thick snow at the door melted into water, soaking our clothes. I forced myself to stay alert, talking to him without pause. Hold me, Shen Jingmo said slowly into the dead silence. Just once. I froze. In the end, I only untied the clothes draped over me and wrapped them around Shen Jingmo. General Shen, even if you die, it will be Lu Zeqian who gathers your body. Holding you is not my place. Shen Jingmo let out a short laugh, as if mocking himself. Right? I've made my bed. The night stretched endlessly. Neither of us was better off than the other. Hunger and cold finally conquered us. The silence loomed like a giant beast, its blood-red maw swallowing all hope of survival. But ever since I'd woken at the bottom of that cliff, I no longer feared death. In fact, I felt a strange familiarity with it, even a longing. When the darkness closed in, I felt oddly at peace. Is Miss Bai's medicine ready? Yes. The master has just been released from the prison and is on his way back. Quickly give it to her, or he'll lose his temper again. My consciousness was the first to return. My body was heavy. My eyelids wouldn't open. I only listened, still. After a flurry of activity, a few young maids said in terrified voices, Master. A cold draft swept into the room, then stopped. Someone stood in the distance, removing their outer coat, paused a moment, and then approached. A warm palm, still carrying the heat of a brazier, pressed against my forehead. A mild, clear voice spoke. She hasn't woken today either? Not yet. I disliked the scent on him. A faint, bloody odor that made me think of dark, damp prisons and blood-stained instruments of torture. I frowned, and his voice suddenly grew urgent. Yuanxiang, you're awake? As if suddenly gaining control of my body, I opened my eyes. Lu Zeqian was crouched at the bedside, looking at me full of worry. His dark eyes slowly glimmered with light. I'm back. My voice was hoarse. Lu Zeqian, close by, caught the words. He gripped my hand and said, When I saw your cloak in the woods, my soul nearly left my body. I wanted to ask about Shen Jingmo's condition, but meeting Lu Zeqian's gaze, I hesitated. He seemed to know what I wanted to ask. General Shen is injured, but nothing serious. This wasn't fair to Lu Zeqian. Zeqian, this marriage, no. Lu Zeqian cut me off, his face hardening. Whoever your heart favors, the marriage stands. I won't back out. It's not worth it. I know what I'm doing. What I give, what I get in return. I don't measure it. I don't agonize over it. Won't that do? Lu Zeqian held my hand tightly. It's been so many years, Yuanxiang. Last time you fell from the cliff, you fell in love. I accepted it. I gritted my teeth and forced myself to accept it. This time, don't stab me in the heart again, I beg you. It has nothing to do with Shen Jingmo. I just don't want to marry anyone. If you don't wish to marry, I'll still take care of you. Whoever dares whisper a word, I'll kill them. For the first time, I saw obsession in Lu Zeqian's eyes, a darkness concealed beneath his gentle, humble gaze, vast enough to swallow a person whole. That I closed my eyes and said no more. Ever since returning from Songzi Mountain, I had felt a constant chill, one that even the blazing stove in my room couldn't dispel. Lu Zeqian didn't argue with me, but I knew he wouldn't allow me to return to the Bai residence. Coincidentally, my parents didn't want me back either. That morning, he sat by my bed, watching me, warming my hands in his before tucking them back under the blanket. It's sunny today, you can go out for a walk. I'll have Lu Shi accompany you. All right. But by noon, Lu Shi was nowhere to be seen. I asked the servants and learned he was in the kitchen. I went to find him, he said, rather grudgingly. When the master is busy, he refuses to eat. Now that I'm assigned to you, there's no one to look after him. I had them send a tray over. Whether he eats it or not is up to fate. After saying this, he glanced at me out of the corner of his eye and added, I hear those mountain bandits are tight-lipped. Without a confession, the master can't rest for a moment. For your sake, Miss Bai, he's truly pushing himself to the limit. I sighed inwardly. I'll deliver it myself. Only then did Lu Shi's expression relax slightly. A quarter of an hour later, the carriage stopped outside the prison. The guards were about to stop me when Lu Shi stepped in, producing a waste token. One of us. The two at the gate hesitated. Master Lu, a young lady here. It's not quite appropriate. The young lady is both our master's person and a victim. Surely she should be allowed in. Very well. The heavy locks were unchained, and a dank, cold, bloody smell hit me in the face. A maid supported me. Miss, let me take it in. You're still weak. No need. Living under someone else's roof in the Lu household, my parents having abandoned me to Lu Zeqian like some stray cat or dog, I had long since lost the right to resist. Why put on airs? The prison was dim, torchlight flickering to a fork in the passage. I turned a corner naturally to Lu Shi asked, Has Miss Bai been here before? The maze of dark corridors was complex, with scarcely any light. I paused. No, I don't think so. Passing a deep, dark cell block, I suddenly stopped and stared into its depths. Don't be curious, Miss Bai, that's where the worst traitors and corrupted officials are held. Many a prince and minister has died in there. At his words, something seized my heart, a tug of pain. In the distance, faint voices drifted over. He confess. No, Your Excellency. Continue. He's dying. I said, continue. Lu Zeqian's unhurried tone held no warmth. Gradually, the glow of firelight ahead drew nearer. The moment the maidservant saw the scene before her, she let out a piercing scream and collapsed, limp, to the ground. The figure strapped to the rack could no longer be called human. She turned away, clutching the railing, and vomited. The next instant, a blood-soaked silhouette blocked my view. A large hand covered my eyes. The voice was taut with barely restrained fury. Lu Shi, do you want to die? I swayed, unable to speak, my vision swimming with crimson afterimages. Master, I never thought. Go take your punishment. Lu Zeqian's tone turned icy, laced with undisguised killing intent. If anything happens to her, bring your head in return. I stood frozen in place, the food hamper still in my hands. Lu Zeqian wrapped his arms around me tightly, whispering in a low, tender murmur, as if afraid I might break. Yuanxiang, don't be afraid. I'm not like this. Just forget, all right? I opened my mouth, fighting down the surging nausea. I came to bring you a meal. All right, I'll eat. He agreed at once, leading me back to the confinement office and setting the hamper on the table, but he refused to let go of my hand. Nervousness had dampened his palm that I closed my eyes, my voice weightless. I need to go back. Lu Zeqian nodded. I'll see you home. No, I can manage. He tightened his grip. Yuanxiang, I let go. I cut him off, my whole body trembling as too many images flooded my mind, pressing down on me until I could barely breathe. That it was as if I was remembering something. The same dungeon cell, the same instruments of torture, Lu Zeqian, drenched in blood, looking like a demon. And two more blood-soaked corpses. Yu Feng Chi Yu at it was the first time I had ever recalled those names, yet they felt as familiar as my own kin. Pain twisted in my heart like a knife that I leaned against the wall, forcing myself step by step toward the bright courtyard hazy with daylight. Outside, guards were laughing and chatting. Lord Qi, Lord Yu, what brings you here? Running an errand for General Shen. We heard the bandits were captured a few days ago. The general sent us to ask about the situation. I stared blankly in their direction. Then everything went black as I crumpled to my knees. Yuanxiang. At the last moment, Lu Zeqian scrambled to catch me. Slowly, very slowly, I clutched the collar of his robe, mustering the last shred of my strength to ask. Those were his right and left arms. How could you go so far? At those words, the color drained from Lu Zeqian's face. My memories had split into two timelines. Sometimes they overlapped. Sometimes they diverged in one line. I could glimpse a distant, blurry future. For example, Shen Jingmo, dead, and Lu Zeqian, mad. This sense of impending death was stronger than ever, as if something deep within my memory was crumbling to pieces, and once it shattered completely, I would die. I lay on the ground, staring at the sky, my breath weak, gasping. Just let me go, please. Lu Zeqian's expression darkened dangerously, his eyes red. He barked, get Shen Jingmo here, now. Someone stumbled out the door. A buzzing filled my ears. I couldn't hear anything. Snowflakes began to drift from the sky. Lying motionless in the snow, I suddenly laughed. It wasn't a dream. Shen Jingmo once gave me a hairpin. The Lantern Festival was still 7 days away when he cut Iron Cloud platform from his horse and won the battle. After that, I became the general's wife. I was 26 that year. He was 29. How old am I now? The maid kneeling beside me answered, trembling. My lady, you are 24 now. Please don't frighten me. In 2 years, Iron Cloud will surely die. I kept rambling uncontrollably, as if only that could ease the agony twisting in my head. Yuanxiang, don't think about it, it'll pass soon. Very soon, very soon. Lu Zeqian held me, snow piling on his shoulders, even settling in his dark hair. Through the wind and snow came the urgent sound of hoofbeats, followed by the door being broken open. Yuanxiang. Lu Zeqian was shoved aside, stumbling a few steps before sitting down in the snow. Shen Jingmo's breathing came in ragged gasps as he crushed me into his chest. In that instant, the shattering feeling reached a strange, precarious balance. I coughed up a mouthful of blood and touched Shen Jingmo's face. General, not Shen Jingmo, not General Shen, but the two words I spoke most often when I stood waiting in the wind and snow for him to come home. Shen Jingmo wept, his hot tears falling on my face. Trembling, he called out softly, Yuanxiang. My wife, Yuanxiang. He kissed my ear, over and over, gradually calming my frantic heart. I smiled. So you do know me. I know you. I've always known. General Shen hurry. Lu Zeqian's calm, Cold voice came from nearby. I didn't bring you back to reminisce with her. If the lock is broken, replace it with a new one, seal it even tighter. An inexplicable panic seized me that I clutched Shen Jingmo's sleeve, as if holding on to the truth. Shen Jingmo looked at me with soft compassion. Yuanxiang, sleep now. No, I won't sleep. Close your eyes, you won't feel pain soon. Don't leave. All right, I won't leave. Darkness swept over me beyond my control that I sank into a deep slumber. I slept heavily. When I awoke, it was broad daylight. The snow had stopped, the wind still. Melting snow dripped from the eaves drop by drop. I got up that a maid entered. My lady, you look much better today, so refreshed. Feeling unusually light and comfortable, I studied her. You look unfamiliar. The maid replied. The sister who served before fell ill, so the master sent her to the estate. I nodded, rising to dress. Where's Zeqian? The master is in his study, and it is not convenient to see you. I paused. Why? Last night, General Shen came to the residence and fought with the master. They both ended up with bruises on their faces. I frowned. Zeqian has a gentle temper. How could General Shen hit him without cause? I haven't had much contact with him. I don't know what he's like. He's some sort of brute? The maid lowered her head, hesitating. My lady, you should visit the master. When I entered the study with a bowl of goat's milk and saw Lu Zeqian, I couldn't help but burst out laughing. After all these years of knowing you, this is the first time I've seen you take a beating. Lu Zeqian had a dark bruise around his eye. Seeing me, he covered half his face, his ears reddening. Yuanxiang, that temper of yours, he sighed helplessly, a smile in his voice. How old are you really? I set down the goat's milk and pushed aside the book he was using to shield his face. All right, I won't laugh. You need to rub the bruise to make the swelling go down. As I bent my head to peel an egg, he lifted the bowl, blew on the milk, and sipped slowly, his gaze never leaving me. That of course I noticed. I shot him a playful glare. What's with you today, staring at me like that? Lu Zeqian smiled. Nothing, but it's been so long since I've seen you like this. I wrapped the egg in gauze and pressed it to his eye. I only fell sick and bumped my head. You've been taking care of me for a while. Are you already complaining? That would mean all my past kindness to you was wasted. Yuanxiang, what? During your illness, what do you remember? As I massaged his eye, I recalled, Chuyue got married. I had an argument with my parents. Oh, and I ran into bandits on Pinecone Mountain and was rescued by a passerby. What bad luck. At that, I suddenly fixed my gaze on Lu Zeqian's handsome face with great seriousness. Have you thanked my savior? Lu Zeqian stared at me blankly. Of course I did. Good to tea. I paused, holding my head in confusion. What was his name again? A joy I couldn't quite read gradually lit Lu Zeqian's eyes. He gently took my hand and placed it over his own. It doesn't matter. Yuanxiang, continue. Lu Zeqian pulled me onto his lap and held me for a long time, saying nothing. Bored, I propped my chin on my hand and flipped through a storybook while he focused on official documents. His hair occasionally brushed my neck, tickling me, and his faint fragrance made my eyelids heavy. Just as I closed my eyes, the maidservant's piercing scream and the sound of vomiting from the prison flashed through my mind like lightning that I jolted awake with a start. Lu Zeqian caught me as I nearly toppled. Alarmed, what's wrong? I realized I was drenched in cold sweat. Whatever nightmare I just had, I couldn't remember. I looked at Lu Zeqian in a daze. I think I had a nightmare. Maybe this position is uncomfortable. Lu Zeqian studied my eyes for a long moment, then soothingly stroked my back. That a voice from outside reported, Master, word just came from the palace. Ironclad platform has launched an attack at the border town. General Shen will head north in a few days. When exactly? 10 days from now. My heart skipped a beat, as my mind was still processing the news. Lu Zeqian suddenly pulled me into his arms, his tone gentle. Yuanxiang, let's get married. Huh. I was surprised. Shouldn't you attend to official duties first? Let's marry, all right. In 10 days, I'll marry you. His hold was a little too tight. Isn't that too rushed? I've prepared for 10 years, Yuanxiang, that I don't want to wait any longer. He had persuaded me that I had known him for 10 years. Everything felt so natural and right. All right. Lu Zeqian's breath caught. He tried to kiss me, but I suddenly broke free and ran off, blushing furiously. The news of the marriage alliance between the Bai and Lu families spread through the capital the following day, and my mother's illness worsened. The day I returned, she lay haggard within, recognizing people only some of the time. That my father said, "While your mother is still here, hurry and settle the marriage. It can't be delayed." I stayed at the Bai residence, devoted to caring for my mother. Every day after court, Lu Zeqian would visit under the pretext of consulting my father. One day, as he arrived, I was rummaging through boxes and chests. Wiping sweat from my brow, I said to him, "Do you still have some of that scar-removing ointment?" "Why?" I pulled up my sleeve to reveal a scar on my wrist. "Mother doesn't like it that I want to make it disappear, but they insist I was throwing a tantrum and threw the rest away." "Lu, sure, go fetch the ointment." Lu Zeqian drew me close into a tight embrace. "No more searching. I'll give it to you." I examined my wrist. "When did this happen?" "I don't even remember." "When you fell down the mountain." I'm not one to throw tantrums. Stuck in bed all day, eventually anyone would get irritable. But you're fine now, aren't you? Lu Zeqian always had endless patience to placate me. I pulled his hand and led him to the stove to warm ourselves. They said I nearly ruined Chuyue's wedding. I'll go apologize to her in person another day. Yuanxiang, you've already apologized. Lu Zeqian cupped my chin, lifting my face so I had to meet his eyes. Don't think about anything. Just marry me. His emotions were strained. His fingers pinched my chin hard enough to hurt as he leaned in. His cool, clean scent wrapping around me. I knew exactly what he meant to do. My whole body went rigid. Every inch his lips drew closer, I shuddered a little more. What should have been a natural, inevitable step felt, to me, impossibly difficult. It's improper. I suddenly pulled back, putting distance between us, pressing a hand against his chest to push him away. My mother is bedridden. Lu Zeqian's breathing was slightly uneven. He closed his eyes for a moment, then released me. Forgive me, Yuanxiang, I was too forward. In a few days at our wedding, I will do as you wish. I bit my lip, unable to look at him, a nameless tangle of feelings in my chest. All right. Lu Zeqian rose and wrapped his heavy cloak around himself. His silhouette looked a little too thin. It seemed he had lost even more weight. He opened the door, and a fierce, cold wind came howling in. I'll come again tomorrow. The next day, my father dismissed all the old servants who had worked for the Bai family for years. He also brought me some new trinkets. While tidying my room, I found a journal. I opened it and saw that the handwriting was my own. That night, alone, I began to read. The more I read, the duller it seemed that it was written while I was ill. My mind had been foggy, my style a mess. I had fabricated a General Shen and scribbled out what looked like the beginning of a story that seemed to be fragments-eyed. Jotted down when I was still half asleep. A maid brought in tea. I ordered. Go to my storeroom and find some jewelry to send to Chuyue. Lu Zeqian didn't need me to manage his affairs, but as the future sister-in-law, I couldn't give nothing at all. The new servant girl looked thoroughly confused. Miss, where should I send it? Oh, right. They were all new. None of them knew Lu Zeqian, I said. Send it to the general's manor. Which general's manor? Her question stopped me cold. In the mirror, I saw my own expression turn bewildered. Yes, which general's manor? My younger sister-in-law had married. But to whom? Moments later, I was sweating anxiously. The girl, terrified, pulled out her handkerchief to dab my forehead. Miss, it's nothing urgent. I'll send someone to find out at once. I leaned over the desk, and my gaze fell on a hairpin. A sharp pain shot through my wrist. That scar on my wrist. It wasn't from scraping against rocks on the mountain. I had done it with a hairpin. The maid, afraid of being thought negligent, came back in no time with an answer. Miss, it's General Shen's manor. My heart grew restless. I frowned. Which General Shen? The one everyone in the capital knows. General Shen Jingmo. A sudden, reasonless panic swept over me. Something was wrong. Everyone else remembered him. Why didn't I? Or rather, why couldn't I keep him in my memory at all? My eyes happened to fall on the journal. I stared blankly at the name, Shen Jingmo. But my mind refused to focus. Miss, you should rest early. You don't look well. When you read storybooks, do you remember the characters' names? The two maids looked at each other and nodded. My face went even paler. Something was wrong with me. Looking back over the past few months, my mind was a blank. I tried to piece together a clear thread. I am the only daughter of the Bai family. My mother damaged her health giving birth to me, and could never bear another child. My father wanted to take a concubine, but my mother resolutely refused. Moreover, my maternal grandfather's family was a noble and powerful clan, so my father had no choice but to let the matter drop. Thus, the burden of revitalizing the Bai family fell on me. The phrase "find a good husband" had been drilled into my ears until it was calloused. Any failure to meet my parents' expectations brought a beating. At 14, I stopped a horse in the street and met Lu Zeqian. My father said it was a golden opportunity and forced me to waylay him again and again. Through that, Lu Zeqian came to know me and took care of me. The two families smoothly became engaged. 10 years slipped by. By all reason, I should have married him long ago, but my father insisted on waiting for Lu Zeqian to achieve higher honors and rank, and to offer a much larger betrothal gift. As time dragged on, I grew older. In the entire capital, the only one willing to marry me was Lu Zeqian. My father grew increasingly frantic, terrified that Lu Zeqian would lose interest in me, and repeatedly found excuses to push me into staying at the Lu household. Then, we returned to our ancestral home to pay respects at the graves. I fell from a cliff. When I woke, how had my memory become so blurred? Lu Zeqian got married, and I caused a scene at her wedding. Why would I do that? Just because of some petty grudge over a bowl of water chestnut soup we'd fought over years ago, and the incident on Songzi Mountain. I couldn't recall the face of the person who saved me. I had spent days with him. What we said, what we did, I couldn't remember any of it. I grabbed a maid's hand. Go ask. Who rescued me on Songzi Mountain? While they were gone, I frantically flipped through the journal. All the stories, once strung together, revealed another line entirely. It sounds absurd, but when I was 14, the person I met was Shen Jingmo. The man I married was also Shen Jingmo. Even 2 years later, when he died in battle at Tiantai and was posthumously enfeoffed as a marquis, I was given the title of Marchioness. These were all things I had written after waking from the fall. I wrote whatever I dreamed. In a hurried, chaotic scrawl, the scar on my hand, the scene I made at Lu Zeqian's wedding. It was all because I had been thoroughly convinced that I was Shen Jingmo's wife. The maid came hurrying back from outside. Miss, it was General Shen who saved you. Shen Jingmo again. I wrapped my arms around my knees and slowly lowered my head. silent for a long time. Young Master Lu. A pair of black brocade boots stopped before me. A shadow fell, covering me. He bent down, his long, pale fingers picking up the journal from the floor. Yuanxiang, Shen Jingmo. He used a goose spell on you. During that time, you were in great pain. I didn't want to tell you. Slowly, I wrapped my arms around Lu Zeqian. I noted I've never known Shen Jingmo. It makes no sense that I would wake up one day and chase after him like I'm possessed. Lu Zeqian stroked my hair. He tossed the journal into the brazier. We watched as the flames devoured it, burning it to ash. What did he want? I asked. To bring down the Lu family. Lu Zeqian crouched in front of me, his eyes gentle. It's all right. Qiyue is watching him. You won't be in danger. Qiyue? You mean her marriage was to Yuanxiang? Qiyue and I have suffered a great deal. That we will defend everything we've gained, at any cost. Lu Zeqian smiled tenderly. For Qiyue, as long as I am alive, that is her greatest support. So Lu Qiyue had married into the general's manor to keep a close eye on Shen Jingmo. But I was shocked by Lu Zeqian's meticulous planning and scheming. For the first time, I glimpsed the truth beneath that gentle facade. Lu Zeqian whispered in my ear, his voice very low. Yuanxiang, don't be afraid of me. You are my wife. I will die to protect you. In this man-eat-man capital, how could anyone survive without hiding behind layers of masks? Lu Zeqian was not wrong. 10 days passed in the blink of an eye. Tonight, the Bai residence was festooned with lanterns and decorations. The wedding dress sent from the Lu family was beautiful, the sleeves and front covered in Eastern pearls that shimmered brilliantly under candlelight. Miss, let me sit here to cushion the bed so you can lean against me for a while. The wedding ceremony tomorrow will be exhausting. The room was heated until it was warm and toasty, but there was not a shred of joy in my heart. After the third watch of the night, I threw on a simple robe and said, I'm going out for a walk. There had been a lot of snow this year. It had been falling for half a month and hadn't fully melted. Another layer had fallen the night before, and it crunched under my feet. Passing by a courtyard wall, I heard the chaotic sound of horse hooves outside. Faint voices drifted over. Whose servants are heading out this late? A maid answered, It's General Shen leaving the city. He's going to the border to fight. Beyond the wall, a conversation carried on the air. General Shen, when will you return in triumph? Next spring. There is someone I care about in the capital, so I dare not prolong the war. Clatter, the hand warmer in my grip dropped into the snow. Memories surged back like a tide. When will you be back? Next spring. There is someone I care about in the capital, so I dare not prolong the war. Who is it you care about? Bai Yuanxiang. When I return, I will marry you. Miss, your hand warmer fell. Let's go back. I came back to myself with a jolt and murmured, All right, let's go back. Suddenly, a splitting headache struck, and I collapsed into the snow. A shrill ringing filled my ears. My mind became a chaotic jumble. One moment I was kneeling before a crowd, with a sea of blood and corpses behind me, some not yet dead. Yuanxiang, I can give you a chance to start over, but this time, you must choose me. Fine. As long as you let them live, I'll agree to anything. Another moment, I was lying in the snow, watching goose feather flakes drift through the sky. My wife. Yuanxiang. So you do recognize me. General Shen. Hurry. We didn't send you back to reminisce. If this lock breaks, we'll just replace it and seal it even tighter. Yuanxiang. Sleep now. Close your eyes, and soon you won't feel the pain. Don't go. All right. I won't go. A moment later, I kicked open the stable door. The maid stumbled after me, frantic. Young mistress, where are you going? The groom was startled. Recognizing me, he threw on a coat and came out. "Miss, why have you come to a place like this?" I grabbed the reins and let out a sturdy horse. "Open the back gate." "Miss," I shouted, "open the back gate." The moment I touched the reins, everything became clear. Bai Yuanxiang had never learned to ride, yet the rough feel of the leather awakened my soul. This fierce spirit did not belong to the gentle, sheltered capital. It had grown only in the biting winds and frost of the northern frontier that I belonged to that place. Even if I started over, that would never change that I swung myself onto the horse that I neighed, impatiently pawing at the snow. A person can't live their life in a fog that I have to get to the bottom of the truth. That's better, for both me and for Lu Zeqian. The snow is shallow in the capital. We're heading north. I whispered into the horse's ears, if understanding perfectly. It lifted its head, neighed, and carried me charging into the night that a stark line of hoofprints stretched across the wide, empty streets of the capital. The horse was full of spirit. The wind of its gallop whipped my hair into tangles. Faster. Just before the city gates shut, I saw a long, dark column of troops. "Who is leaving the city?" A distant voice called. I reined in my horse. "Bai Yuanxiang of the Bai family. Here to see General Shen off to war." The sky was just beginning to lighten. The cold wind hadn't stopped. I in my bright red wedding dress. I waited for that first ray of dawn the moment day broke. A golden light washed over the world. Someone rode slowly toward me. His expression was grim, a hint of anger simmering beneath the surface. The morning sun fell across his profile, carving it into sharp planes of light and shadow. That I was breathing fast, slightly out of breath. "The one you care about in the capital. Who is it?" In that moment, even the wind and snow fell still. That he didn't answer. That I pressed forward a step. "Next spring. For whom will you return in triumph?" He still said nothing. Under the eyes of countless onlookers, I dismounted. Holding the reins, I looked up at him. "Who was the one who taught me to ride?" A hand gripped my wrist, and I was swept up like an autumn leaf, landing gently on his horse's back. Face to face, wrapped in Shen Jingmo's arms, the icy chill of frost enclosed me completely. His armor was cold and hard, but it could do nothing to quench the blazing heat in my heart. Shen Jingmo's eyes locked onto me, the silence in their depths cracking apart inch by inch. If venting his fury, he seized my waist. "Who gave you permission to come?" I did. He was straining to contain his temper, the veins on his forehead bulging. "Bai Yuanxiang, you are beyond hateful." "If I'm so hateful, then General Shen can just lash me to death with one stroke of his whip. That would settle it once and for all." Shen Jingmo was already teetering on the edge of violent rage. I felt that if not for the crowd watching, he would have tied me up and beaten me soundly. "Did you use a love goo on me, General Shen?" His face was cold. "No." "Then how do you explain that before I chased after you relentlessly, but now I can't even remember what you look like?" "There's no need to remember. Go back and get married. I will garrison the northern frontier. For 100 years, as long as I am here, the capital will be safe." Every last trace of my smile vanished. "I'll ask you one final time. What is our relationship?" "Think carefully before you answer, General Shen. Once the words leave your mouth, no regrets are allowed. If we're nothing to each other, I will not pester you any further." The darkness gradually thickening in Shen Jingmo's eyes was the wolf nature rising within him, struggling to break free of its chains. "Someone is forcing your hand, aren't they?" I asked softly. I laid my hand over the left side of his chest, where his heart beat, feeling the vibrant life surging beneath my palm. "What is your weakness?" Suddenly, he lowered his head and bit violently onto my lips, branding me with savage brutality. "The wolf is After all, a creature that marks its territory. Once the chains are shattered, no one will be able to contend with him. That it hurt, but it also felt utterly liberating. Trembling, I felt the pounding of blood in my ears, the beat of his heart, and the deep affection spreading between our lips and teeth. That it was as if we had done this countless times before. In that moment, we both found our rightful place. Shen Jingmo's large hand clamped around my neck as he enunciated each word. Bai Yuanxiang, are you afraid to die? In his eyes was a reckless madness, and a searing heat that nearly drowned me. This was the real him. No, even though the path ahead is already set, even though it's set, I'm not afraid. Shen Jingmo suddenly burst into laughter. In that instant, the glow of dawn shone in his eyes, dispelling the gray, ashen lifelessness. He wheeled his horse around and announced loudly, Yuanxiang, the plum blossoms at the borderlands are in bloom. I'll take you to see them. As the horse charged out through the city gates, someone standing atop the city wall called out to me urgently. I followed the voice. It was Lu Zeqian. He wore a crimson robe, his hair still unbound. I couldn't make out his expression. Yuanxiang, today is our wedding day. Do you remember? Young Master Lu, what is seized by force will never truly be yours. Bai Yuanxiang, don't be so obstinate. Lu Zeqian's voice was cold and shattered. Come back, and I will let bygones be bygones. Your parents are still here. Where do you think you're going? I tightened my grip on Shen Jingmo's hand and gave him a deep look. Young Master Lu, it was my own parents who pushed me forward all 3 times I blocked your horse back then. The debt of raising me was ground to dust under that push long ago. Now, no one can hold me captive. The diminishing figure on the city wall was the last impression I had of Lu Zeqian. Shen Jingmo gathered me into his arms, stretching out a hand to shield me against the fierce wind. The green hooves of the horse drummed across the open wilderness. Yuanxiang, look forward. 10 days later, riding hard, we reached the borderlands. After winter set in there, it was bitterly cold. Opening one's mouth to speak produced white puffs of breath. People came and went along the streets. Passing a steamed bun stall, a woman said something to me. Shen Jingmo hesitated for a beat, then replied. The borderland accent is different from the capitals. As a newcomer you might not understand. I'll have Yufeng accompany you. If you need anything, you can tell him. I was riding alongside him. I averted my eyes from Shen Jingmo's gaze, and, in a spot shielded from the cold wind, blushed quietly. I had understood. The woman had asked, Sir, shall I buy your wife a few buns? Any with sugar filling? No, my wife is still young. She likes sweet things. Then forget it. What did you say to her just now? I asked. Shen Jingmo slowed his horse, his tone matter of fact. Nothing much. Oh, but I'm hungry. He led me to a residence and dismounted. There's no cook in the household. Tell me what you want to eat, and I'll make it. Then, sugar buns. In the dim little kitchen, a fire was lit in the stove, warm and cozy. The sort of hearth and home life I had long yearned for. I crouched by the firewood and watched Shen Jingmo's broad frame wrapped in an ill-fitting apron. His well-defined, powerful fingers kneaded the dough with fluid, effortless motions. He scooped the sweetened filling onto the wrappers, neatly pinched the pleats, and produced lovely sugar buns. You're quite good at this. When there's someone to eat them, one naturally picks it up. Shen Jingmo's eyes were lowered as he methodically arranged the buns in the steamer. Have you finished washing the vegetables? I came back to my senses and handed them over. Done long ago. He took them and steered me out the door. Too much smoke. Go wait outside. Bundled up thickly, I didn't feel cold sitting outside, so I settled on the steps to look at the moon. This year I was 24. Those bleak, blurred endings I saw in my dreams. I couldn't tell if they were a foreseeable future or a past that had already played out. But Bai Yuanxiang was not someone who, out of fear, would cower in a corner, too afraid to move, even if it meant getting bruised and bloodied. She would take the road she herself chose. There was nothing for me left in the capital. Only an endless, stifling horizon, a fate long since arranged, a lifetime doomed to be kept like a pet, and an ending whose fortunes and disasters were already sealed, at least here at the borderlands. I could find myself again. Miss Bai. Someone called me. It was Yufeng. He was holding something. Standing there hesitantly. I brushed the dirt from my clothes and stood. Are you looking for the general? I'll go call him. He pulled out a stack of letters. These came from the capital, family letters. My expression froze. Chiu, you sent them? Yes. We had traveled so hastily. I hadn't yet had a chance to sit down and talk things through properly with Shen Jingmo. Now that the general has you by his side, I think these should be left to your discretion. No need. I stepped aside. By all rights, you should give them to him yourself. Where will I be staying tonight? Yufeng pointed to a distant building. For the time being, only that room is available. I pushed open the door, and when I entered, it was cold, sparsely furnished by moonlight. I lit the stove fire, then unfastened my heavy cloak, folded it, and set it aside. I left the window open just a crack, enough to let out the dust that had accumulated in the room, but not so much as to make it cold. That I lit a small lamp, drew up my legs, and sat on the narrow daybed, staring blankly out the window. I don't know how much time passed before the door creaked open from the outside, and a savory aroma flooded inside. Shen Jingmo personally carried in hot, steaming sugar buns, a few side dishes, and a jug of wine. We sat opposite each other in silence. I helped set out the bowls and chopsticks. Shen Jingmo suddenly spoke. Are you angry? Not particularly. From the moment Lu Zeqian entered the general's residence, she never stopped sending messages out. The people in my house guard against her as they would a thief. I have never touched her. I lowered my gaze. I'm not angry, and I'm not quibbling over that. Yuanxiang, when you're angry, you avoid looking at people. Laughter tinged his voice. I gave a little huff, kept my head down, and concentrated on eating. Seeing me ignore him, he asked, is it something else then? The events of a few months ago. I've forgotten some of them. Does it have anything to do with you? The smile slowly faded from Shen Jingmo's face. His eyes dropped to his bowl as he served me some food. Yuanxiang, let's talk about that later. If I remember, I will die, won't I? Shen Jingmo didn't answer directly. Skirting the weight of the question, he said, you don't necessarily have to remember. Whatever you like, I will go along with it. He paused. Stay as long as you wish, even if you don't marry me. I stared at him, stunned, for a long moment. Then a faint smile spread across my face. All right. After the meal, Shen Jingmo put his outer clothes back on. Rest early. At the moment, the war situation was tense. The Iron Cloud platform occasionally launched small raids. Though not large-scale, they kept the border garrison on edge. He had no choice but to stay vigilant. Before leaving, Shen Jingmo gave me a deep look. I won't be back tonight. The bed is yours. It was only after he was gone that I realized. This room belonged to Shen Jingmo, and so did the bed. I laughed softly to myself, then quickly washed up and, still fully dressed, burrowed into Shen Jingmo's bedding. Though it was my first time sleeping in such a place, an unexpected peace settled over me. Drowsiness washed in, and by the time daylight broke, I heard someone knocking. I was still thick with sleep, turning over to face the wall, when I heard the door open and close. Footsteps entered, walked a few paces, and then fell silent. My mind gradually cleared. I was at the borderlands, occupying Shen Jingmo's room, that I hurriedly got up and saw someone's silhouette behind the screen, sitting there. "Awake?" he asked from beyond the screen. "You haven't slept all night?" Shen Jingmo responded lazily. Unable to hide his exhaustion, that I stepped out, that he was dressed in black, his dark hair tied high at the back of his head. His features were striking, and his eyes held a trace more gentleness than usual. "Let me sleep for a while." The weariness on his face was too obvious. He rose, skirted around me, and headed straight to the inner room without looking back. I hesitated. I just got up. The bed hasn't been. No need to sort it out, that it's just warm now. Saves trouble. I watched helplessly as Shen Jingmo removed his boots, shed his outer robe, and wrapped himself in the bedding. That I opened my mouth, too embarrassed to say anything. In this harsh, bitter borderland, the soldiers struggled to endure. How could I be fussy about such details? Just then, Shen Jingmo opened his eyes and asked me, "Not leaving? Joining me?" My face flamed red, that I spun around in indignation. To think I'd been making excuses for him. He was outright flirting, amidst Shen Jingmo's laughter. I fled in a panic, only to be caught at the courtyard gate. "Master, this is Miss Bai." Beside Yufeng stood a monk. Both of them looked at me. The monk placed his palms together and addressed me. "Ba." This humble monk, Dao Xin, greets Miss Bai. This master had a beard flecked with white and was advanced in years, yet he seemed hale and vigorous. I stopped in my tracks and politely replied, "Master Dao Xian, the general has just retired. This humble monk is here to see you." I pointed at myself, surprised. "Me?" The general specifically instructed that Miss Bai is frail in health. "Master Dao Xian is well-versed in medicine and will examine you." Truth be told, I didn't expect him to detect anything significant. When Dao Xian left, he said nothing to me, but went alone to see Shen Jingmo. After that, every evening before bed, I was given an extra bowl of medicinal brew, and not just me. He drank it too. A few more days passed. Passing by the small kitchen, I overheard the servants whispering, "Once Miss Bai's health is nurtured back, she can give the general a big, chubby son." One evening, Shen Jingmo and I ran into each other in the little kitchen. That he was still in his armor, just back from the battlefield, moonlight draped over him and blood smeared on his face. "Have you eaten?" I was holding my bowl of medicine, cornered by him in the kitchen. Blankly, I nodded. And you?" Shen Jingmo wiped the blood away. Revealing his sharp, handsome face, he smiled at me. "Not yet. Stay and eat a little with me?" "Oh, all right." I stared at the bowl of herbal brew in a daze. The tea was unbearably bitter. That a few days earlier, I had inexplicably had a nosebleed. And even in my dreams, it was all about Shen Jingmo. "Why is your face so red?" Shen Jingmo lowered his head and studied me closely. "Lately you've been all sweet smiles. Your temper's really improved." I tugged at the corner of my mouth. "So General Shen has a rather peculiar taste." "Naturally, the fiercer you are with me, the happier I get." He sliced scallion whites, dropped them into hot oil, and busied himself over the stove, adding over his shoulder, "Your medicine's gone cold. Drink it up." I finally asked the question I'd been holding back. "What is this for, anyway?" "Strengthening the body." As I thought, he had something else in mind. Maybe he was hurt somewhere and too embarrassed to say so, and this was his excuse for brewing something for me while slipping himself a dose on the side. The moment Shen Jingmo turned around, I had already set both bowls of medicine in a neat row in front of him. "All yours. Drink it slowly." He looked bewildered. "Hiding an illness from the physician, I understand. But don't let it delay your treatment." Shen Jingmo's expression gradually turned inscrutable. "What illness do I have? How would I know? A man's secret ailment could come from anything. An injury, an internal affliction, any number of things. Slowly, Shen Jingmo put down the bowl. Both hands reached out, pressing me against the stove, caging me there. Yuanxiang, the thoughts in your eyes are perfectly clear. Would you like me to demonstrate? I didn't say anything. You thought it, and more than a little. He dipped his head, his lips grazing my ear. That worried about your man? A shiver ran through me, and he caught my wrists at once. Don't knock the medicine over. If you're supposed to drink it, drink it. I'm not sick that I'm not keeping you company. This whole habit of letting my mind run wild. I'd only developed it lately, probably from drinking this stuff. I'll feed you. Shen Jingmo took a mouthful, then gripped my chin and pressed his lips to mine. Just as I was about to break free, he cupped the back of my head and tipped the liquid into my mouth. Bitter, he gave me no chance to catch my breath, pouring it in relentlessly. Furious, I pounded his chest, but Shen Jingmo pinned my wrists against the stove. And then, little by little, everything changed. The medicine was gone, leaving only a tangled exchange of lips and tongues that I sagged against the stove, my waist gone. Weak. The air was thick with heat, trapped inside the tiny kitchen, with nowhere to escape. Yuanxiang, I wanna alright. Shen Jingmo froze. I wanna eat. I ignored my reddening face. I said alright, didn't you hear? Shen Jingmo still refused to let me go. You're not really. Aren't you hungry? If you've got time to worry about what I said, just eat already. He let out a soft laugh. Mortified, I hit him. Stop laughing. I can have something else too. Shen Jingmo didn't even flush. Eating you is better than eating dinner. Get lost. I couldn't handle such barefaced talk. Shen Jingmo scooped me up in one motion. Let's go. That will crawl under the covers and take our time. You scoundrel. Have you no shame? He carried me into the bedroom, tossed me onto the bed, and began stripping off his clothes. When he was down to only his inner robe, I could feel the searing heat radiating from his body, full of coiled, vibrant strength that I could never understand. Shen Jingmo, in the depths of winter, he would douse himself with a pail of cold water and drill his troops shirtless year-round in the courtyard. The hard, flowing lines of his muscles held no unfamiliarity for me. Yet tonight, in the darkness, something was different. He threw me a few words. Stay put. That I'm going to bathe. And remembering his habit of ice-cold water, I shivered just thinking about it. A while later he returned, even hotter than before, his hair itself giving off steam. For once he had used hot water. Shen Jingmo wrapped his arms around me. His scorching body made my mind go blank. Aren't you going? I already bathed. Hey, what are you doing? I stiffened in alarm as I sensed something unusual against me. Shen Jingmo's gaze was dark and smoldering. Sorry, it won't listen to me. You stirred it up with a single sentence. What am I supposed to do? Flustered, I asked. If you can't control it, who will? You, of course. He gently guided my hand to his belt. Every inch of me, I'm handing over for you to control. You can do whatever you want. I don't know how. Then I'll teach you. He smiled. In the past, whenever you got carried away, you never let me go too far. I knew he was talking about those times that I couldn't remember any of it. Ambiguity swirled in the air, now and then broken by a few breathless gasps and teasing words of love. Shen Jingmo traced and teased with careful deliberation. Yuanxiang, look, your body still remembers. I clutched at his arms in vain. My skin chafed red in more than one place. In a few fleeting moments, it almost seemed to overlap with something in my memory. Shen Jingmo, don't move. I'm going to tie you up. Of course, my lady D. Oh, you need me to teach you how. Don't laugh that you'll be the one crying soon enough. I followed the same method, and soon Shen Jingmo was bound to the bed, his eyes glinting with amusement. Go on, my lady, I'm waiting to cry. In the end, I was the one bullied into tears. Shen Jingmo's voice rose and fell with teasing lilt. Why is my lady the one crying first? Bastard, gentler. I gritted my teeth, clinging to his shoulder. Where do you get all this strength? With my lady. Naturally, I'm full of strength. He murmured into my ear with a rakish smile. This time I'm in a hurry. Next time I'll teach you how to tie a man so he can't get loose. There won't be a next time. Stop, stop. How could I? Shen Jingmo kissed me, whispering, I haven't had my fill yet. The night deepened. Amid wave after wave of desire, the buried memories broke ground like spring buds drunk on dew. Old dreams. I stood on the desolate earth of a fallen border town, searching among the heaped corpses for any sign of Shen Jingmo. Just as I started forward, someone held me back. Lu Zeqian said softly, Yuanxiang, the border city has fallen. Come back with me. Where is Shen Jingmo? Lu Zeqian answered, he's waiting for reinforcements. The border city is lost. He can't afford to lose another. I'm waiting for him. Lu Zeqian ignored me, dragging me back. That I fought against him. When our struggle grew fierce, Lu Zeqian shouted, the reinforcements aren't coming. In that instant, my blood turned to ice. What do you mean? Lu Zeqian let out a slow breath. Shen Jingmo, his military achievements overshadow the throne that he won't be allowed to live. What crime did the people of the border city commit? I trembled with rage, struggling with all my strength. If you wanted to kill him, you could have arrested him and brought him back to the capital. Why did you have to sacrifice tens of thousands of innocent lives? Yuanxiang, come with me. From now on the Lu residence will be your. I married Shen Jingmo. The border city is my home. I wrenched myself free of Lu Zeqian. I'm not going anywhere. If you want to help them, if you want Shen Jingmo dead, then I'll die with him. Lu Zeqian's gaze darkened. If it weren't for you, why would I have come all this way? Don't let my efforts be in vain. The Grand Chancellor, what skill, coveting the general's wife. My voice dripped with scorn. So much so you'd risk yourself in this war-torn wilderness. Are the noble ladies of the capital no longer enough for you? Forcing yourself on another man's wife. Lu Zeqian's hand pressed against the back of my head, pulling me into his arms. And what if I forced the issue? The kindness of a single meal back then. I, Lu, have never forgotten it. If it weren't for you, I'd have long since become a frozen pile of bones by the roadside. Letting you marry him was my mistake. Now, the emperor wants him dead. I, Lu, am only following imperial orders. There's nothing base about it. You want to die with him? Don't even think about it. Shameless. Lu Zeqian forced a kiss on me, as if he'd lost his mind. I've schemed for years. Why can't I get what I want? I wept, my voice hoarse. Let me go. It doesn't matter if you don't love me. That I'll just lock you away. Slap. I struck Lu Zeqian across the face, and a red handprint bloomed on his fair cheek. It seemed to jolt him awake. His eyes rimmed with red, his breath ragged. I thought he would kill me. Instead, Lu Zeqian released his grip, turned away, and ordered, keep a close watch on her. We return to the capital tomorrow. That very night, Shen Jingmo was struck by arrow after arrow. That I fought desperately for a chance to see him one last time. Shen Jingmo's eyes were wide open. When he saw me, his fingers twitched. All around us was the sound of weeping. His old subordinates, who had followed him for years, he lay on the ground. Many of the arrows broken off. That I pressed my hand over my mouth. But I couldn't hold back the scalding tears as I threw myself beside him. Yuanxiang. His voice was so faint I had to lean close to. Here he told me to go back to the capital. Frantically wiping my tears, I held his hand. I won't. That I'll stay with you in the border city. That I'm not going anywhere. He said I was stubborn, said I was with child now, and couldn't afford to be willful. He said if I obediently went back, the people could still be saved, so he had known everything all along. Yuanxiang, be good that I'll take my long rest here, guarding the border city. Don't you worry. Don't you worry. The moment the reinforcements arrived, the beacon fire on the signal tower blazed to life. The army they had waited for all winter would flow in an endless stream come spring, but I would never again see. Shen Jingmo spring, he died in my arms, the end. He hadn't dared to hold my hand, afraid he'd never be able to let go that I didn't shed a single tear. I only secretly cut off a lock of his hair. From then on, I spoke no more. I don't remember the day Shen Jingmo was buried, nor how I returned to the capital that a few months passed. Outside the window, peach blossoms filled every branch, and the spring sun shone bright. That Bai Yuanxiang and you were escorted back to the capital to stand trial. That day, I brought pastries to the imperial prison in the dark cells. I found 2 blood-soaked corpses. My maid fainted from fright. Lu Zeqian held me tightly and shielded my eyes that I smiled. I brought you something to eat. Those were the first words I'd spoken since returning to the capital. Overjoyed, Lu Zeqian's eyes reddened. Good that I'll eat. That day, Lu Shi was beaten nearly to death. Gasping for breath, he crawled into the room just as Lu Zeqian had eaten half a bite. The pastries I had fed him myself. Lu Shi coughed up blood and probed the pastry with a silver needle. The needle showed lethal poison. Master, spit it out, spit it out. Lu Zeqian slowly swallowed the rest and looked at me. Yuanxiang, you don't want to live, and neither do I. When I tried to eat the other half, Lu Zeqian seized me with desperate strength. You still carry his child, I laughed. Don't you have a way to start over? I overheard everything you said to Daoxian. Young Master Lu, you're dying now too. Won't you give that method a try? Treat a dead horse as a living one. Lu Zeqian's face was ashen. The poison was working, his organs rotting away. He leaned back in his chair and closed his eyes. I can give you a chance to begin again. But this time, Yuanxiang, you can only choose me. If you refuse, we'll die together. I agree. Only, leave them alone. Then you must not break your promise. A light slowly kindled in Lu Zeqian's eyes. The first genuine smile he'd given in all these years. Everything went back to my childhood. This time, I saw the whole chain of cause and effect clearly. That a heavy snow fell on the capital. The young me, as always, saved a child by the roadside and gave him a piece of flatbread. That child was the Lu Zeqian of later days. When I was 14, I threw myself before a horse in the street, but the rider had been replaced by Lu Zeqian. After that, every trace of Shen Jingmo was wiped from my life. Lu Zeqian took his place in everything. 3 times stopping a horse to pledge our hearts, birthday gifts, flying kites. Every turning point, large and small, down to the finest detail. He replicated Shen Jingmo exactly. In my short youth, Shen Jingmo existed only in hearsay. First, battle won, granted the title of general, wounded, gravely ill. To me, it was no more than news of a stranger. Until we returned to our hometown for ancestral rites, and the carriage plunged off a cliff. The shackles buried deep in my memory began to loosen. Past life and present life converged, and in my days, I mistook one for the other. When I awoke, I stormed into the general's manor for the first time, intertwining my fate with this lifetime's Shen Jingmo. They called me mad, and perhaps I was that I in this life. I truly did not know Shen Jingmo, but he knew me. The day he saw me, he carelessly caught his sleeve on a branch and tore it, then turned away as if nothing had happened, laughing and talking with others that I had only just awakened and didn't know his temperament then. Shen Jingmo's skills were exceptional. How could he be so clumsy as to tear his own sleeve? Once the shackles begin to loosen, they can only crumble day by day. That I began to dream of him, to dream of the past, and with those dreams, my health failed day by day. That as the pieces of memory painstakingly reassembled, my vitality dwindled, my emotions grew more and more unstable. That I started harming myself, seeking death, growing ever more obsessive. Shen Jingmo dared not acknowledge me. If the shackles snapped, what would become of the vessel that bore all of this? The corpse in the prison cell dealt me the most direct shock. The collapse came in an instant. That night, my life hung by a thread. Shen Jingmo came striding through the snow. That it turned out he and I were bound together. Only he could steady me. Only he could make me forget everything. The two of us were like magnets, forever drawn to each other. Yet the moment we stuck together, we shattered each other. This was where Lu Zeqian triumphed. As long as Shen Jingmo didn't want anything to happen to me, he had to keep his distance. Not a single word could he speak. Not a single thing could he do. Not even a single glance was allowed. That my life became Shen Jingmo's heaviest shackle. I cannot fathom how many deeds Lu Zeqian coerced Shen Jingmo into with this leverage. Marrying Lu Zeqian, did that count? When I held a knife to my own throat, and Shen Jingmo could only watch, did that count? Outside the prison, when Shen Jingmo sealed my memories shut with his own hands, erasing his own existence, did that count? In the depths of winter, with supplies and forage hard to transport, Shen Jingmo marching out to the border town on the day of my wedding, did that count? Now, Yuanxiang, dawn has broken. Curled in Shen Jingmo's arms, I was utterly exhausted, yet I refused to close my eyes and sleep. I remember everything. Shen Jingmo kissed me softly, lingeringly. You've taken so much medicine. It's time you remembered. From now on, my Yuanxiang will never be bound to me again. I recalled that year when the capital was abuzz with rumors that General Shen had been wounded. That I had been ill for months, only slowly convalescing. Truly, we shared weal and woe. Only half a month of medicine. Shen Jingmo shifted to feather-like kisses. More than that. Could it be even earlier? Lu Zeqian couldn't tend you properly. I couldn't stand the sight of it. A laugh burst from me, tears falling. Shen Jingmo said, Master Daoshuan's spell was originally meant to send only you and Lu Zeqian back. But we had children, and that blood tie dragged me back as well. From a very young age, I remembered you. Even earlier than our previous life. You know why Lu Zeqian took you horseback riding, but you sobbed in fright? Shen Jingmo wrapped his arms tightly around my waist. With the girl you fancy, you can't be too timid. You have to hold her close, like this. From afar, I saw you so scared you were shedding tears, and in my heart, I cursed Lu Zeqian 100 times over. Shen Jingmo seemed eager to spill all his resentment at once. Who would like paper cranes? Once my girl got used to riding, I would take her to the distant outskirts, galloping through the woods, letting the wind lift her hair and tangle it with mine. And then at the mountaintop, I'd kiss her savagely. Then, with tearful eyes, she'd slap me, call me a scoundrel, but secretly curl the corner of her lips. And I'd carry her down the mountain, the Lantern Festival. I'd pull her along, and whichever one she liked, she'd have to win it for me. Watching her cheeks flush red as she cursed me a crude brute. I listened quietly as he recounted our past. After a long moment, I replied, You left me, ran off to the north for half a month. Why didn't you mention that? You'd only tell others there was someone you longed for in the capital, that you dared not linger in battle, but to me you said nothing. Shen Jingmo said, I wanted to win military merit and come back to marry you, and I feared not returning, leaving you to worry. My general, I wound my arms around Shen Jingmo's neck, sighed softly, and kissed his lips. Yuanxiang, you should sleep. Not sleepy. I want to give you. Shen Jingmo's breath grew ragged as he turned over. You know I can't bear this. You always know best how to handle me. Laughing, I leaned close to his ear. There's something even harder for you to bear. Want to hear it? Say it. Shen Jingmo gritted his teeth. What else can I not bear? I want to have a child. Shen Jingmo's reason shattered completely. With a low curse, he pulled me down into the sea of desire. A year in the border city passed in a blink. That spring, I gave birth to a daughter. Shen Jingmo cherished her like a rare treasure and named her Shen Rushu. Her milk name was Nian. That same year, someone arrived from the capital. The day Lu Zeqian was dragged in by Nian, I froze for an instant, then came to my senses and hurriedly pulled Nian away. Master, General Shen is waiting. Lu Shi had matured a great deal. He stood behind Lu Zeqian, respectfully reminding him. Lu Zeqian regarded me for a moment, then left without a word. That I in this life. He had already become chancellor. A full year earlier than in our previous life. Tai Yuntai had also died in battle several months earlier, a year earlier than before. The two of them, neither would yield to the other. Nian was utterly puzzled. Who is that uncle? Not a good person. I coaxed her into her afternoon nap. Never mind him. A hand rested gently on my shoulder. Shen Jingmo had returned without my noticing. Looking at Nian, his eyes held ineffable tenderness. He motioned for us to speak elsewhere. Seeing Nian sound asleep, I quietly slipped out of the room. The supply and grain issues are all resolved. What does Lu Zeqian want this time? I kept my head down, letting Shen Jingmo lead me forward. I'm not sure. His Majesty ordered him to oversee the army. Tai Yuntai is dead. His tribe is massing forces to attack the border city. That a bitter battle is coming. Lu Zeqian arriving at this critical moment is no good omen. In our previous life, Shen Jingmo had fallen in this very campaign. Shen Jingmo said, when I died in battle that year, I always felt something was off. You mean a spy? Shen Jingmo's expression was heavy. Someone tampered with the horses, so their gait became sluggish. Lu Zeqian. Unlikely. Mad as he is, he's not that despicable. The next day, I ran into Lu Zeqian at the doorway. Nian hopped over, waving at Lu Zeqian, wanting to go to him. Uncle Lu. Lu Zeqian started, raising a hand as if to touch her. I stepped discreetly in front of her. Young Master Lu. Lu Zeqian looked dazed. It took him a long moment to speak. Yuanxiang, your health has improved a great deal. Master, it's time to eat, Lu Shi said coldly. You haven't eaten all day. Your body can't take it. Lu Zeqian coughed lightly. I didn't tell Lu Shi to say that I'm not. I know. Please go and eat. I cut off his explanation. Lu Zeqian glanced one last time at Nian, then drew a small red lacquered rattledrum from his sleeve. Something from the capital. If she likes it, let her play with it. Nian grabbed it with both hands, smiling sweetly. Thank you, uncle. Lu Zeqian stared blankly again, until Lu Shi tugged him away with a cold face. His silhouette looked thinner than before. I lowered my head and said sternly to Nian, next time, ask me before you take anything. Nian asked innocently, so can I take it? I was exasperated to the point of laughter. Exactly like her father, acting first and reporting later. Keep it. The enemy came swiftly. One deep night. Clusters of flaming arrows shot onto the city walls. The alarm of invasion carried into the courtyard. Shen Jingmo was already fully armored. Before he left, I clutched him tightly, heart constricted. Be careful, wear thicker plate armor. Don't go charging in yourself. Shen Jingmo gave a soft murmur of assent, turned back, and pressed a kiss to my forehead. Yuanxiang, wait for me to return. Afraid that his resolve wasn't strong enough, I woke Nian Yin and coached her word by word. Daddy, don't get hurt. Come back early. Nian Yin will be waiting for you. Something flickered in Shen Jingmo's eyes. He turned and left. That battle was not as easy as imagined. That I waited in the courtyard for 3 days. No news of victory came out on the 5th day. The courtyard was sealed off. Lu Zeqian stood guard at the gate. I stayed with Nian Yin, playing with her, as usual. On the 10th day, the city had not fallen. The people had not been slaughtered. Lu Zeqian burst through the door and fell to his knees before me, trembling. I beg you, go see our master. Qiyu was drenched in blood, a knife driven into her chest, its hilt still in Lu Zeqian's hand. Qiyu's long sword had pierced through Lu Zeqian's shoulder blade. Qiyu had breathed her last. Lu Zeqian knelt, motionless, blood trickling from the corner of his mouth. Lu Zeqian's eyes were red-rimmed. Master was wounded. He only came down from the battlefield last night, found this traitor, and executed her. Now the city is in chaos. Everyone says there's a traitor, that the border city will fall sooner or later. General Shen is still on the battlefield. Master, Master, I'm afraid. His voice broke several times as he struggled to contain his grief. Please, Miss Bai, take charge, steady the people. Don't let my master's sacrifice be in. At last, he was too choked to speak. Where is the physician? The physician says as long as the sword stays embedded, he can still cling to a breath of life. If it's withdrawn, whether he'll survive is uncertain. Master wants to speak with you. I walked over and knelt beside Lu Zeqian. He slowly opened his eyes. Yuanxiang, look. In our past life, I couldn't find them. This time, I've killed both. This time, I found them. My heart clenched. Lu Zeqian continued. I didn't mean to die, but if I hadn't killed him, and Shen Jingmo died, you would blame me. I couldn't stop my eyes from reddening. I'm just mad, but I love you. Lu Zeqian grasped the sword and slowly drew it out. He swayed, then pitched forward. I braced him with one hand and pressed hard on the gushing wound, shouting, "Get the physician, don't just stand there." Lu Zeqian smiled. The master is dead, no one can go back now. Yuanxiang, for me, I hardly know whether that's a blessing or a misfortune. The light in his eyes dimmed, inch by inch, scheming through 2 lifetimes, yet all I yearned for remains unfulfilled. Yuanxiang, you are my calamity. At least I'm not dying in winter. I've forgotten how to cut the paper window flowers, but you won't teach me again. That day was chaos. People scrambled to apply styptic powder to Lu Zeqian's wounds. Only I held him, those few words reaching my ears with perfect clarity. That I didn't know why, but suddenly, tears fell. Why did it have to come to this? I asked. He closed his eyes. His body grew cold. Moment by moment, he never answered again. The people withdrew. I slowly rose, bracing myself against the doorframe. The orders came. Our soldiers still fight at the front. The old, the women, the children. None shall surrender. None shall retreat. None shall withdraw. Until this city falls, the supply lines must hold. Anyone stirring unrest within the walls, regardless of cause, will be beaten to death. Those who serve with merit shall be rewarded after the battle. Qi Feng is to be beheaded. Hang his head from the city wall as a warning to all. That day, dozens were beaten to death within the city. I stood beneath the city wall, listening to the earth-shaking shouts of battle, and did not move. That we held out for 3 days. Then the relief army arrived. After another month, the enemy collapsed like a mountain crumbling, and our forces pushed thinly north, seizing a city. In the years that followed, Capturing the enemy's 14 provinces would prove as effortless as reaching into a bag. The day Shen Jingmo returned in triumph, the entire city cheered. He dismounted and pulled me into his arms at once that I stood there dazed, then suddenly burst into tears. Among the crowd around us, many wept too, as so many young men were already buried beneath the yellow earth, asleep forever. The cruelest thing in this world is war. The deepest regret is parting in life or death. I wrapped my arms around Shen Jingmo's waist. His armor was battered and rent, his body covered in wounds. Shen Jingmo, you're home. That year, Chancellor Lu Zeqian suffered a severe blow in the North Point one morning. He boarded a carriage heading back to the capital that he said, "Whether I live or die depends on fate. Some things still unfinished cannot wait." Several years later, our empire's borders had already expanded northward. Even in the coldest places, there were now court officials and soldiers stationed. All those officials had been handpicked by Lu Zeqian, men known for their integrity and probity. For the many years he served as chancellor, the common people lived in peace and prosperity. Sometimes I'd recall what Lu Zeqian once told me. I have known suffering, and naturally, I don't wish others to fall into the same plight. When the day comes that I rise to the highest office, I will take it as my duty to bestow blessings upon the 10,000 subjects. Lu Shi passed through the border city and brought a message from Lu Zeqian. Lu has lived twice that I have no shame before the people. There is only one thing I did that pricks my conscience. Since I cannot win this fight now, I will simply cease to fight it. The following spring, Lu Zeqian passed away. He was 30-8 WY then. The peach blossoms at the border city were in glorious bloom. Shen Jingmo held our son and daughter in his arms and stroked my head. Yuanxiang, if you want to cry, then cry. It's precisely because we have feelings that we are human. Holding me, he sat by the window and said softly, "He still wasn't ruthless enough. He chose to lock away your memories instead of erasing them completely. If he had done it thoroughly, the one by your side today might not have been me. There are no ifs. If I had chosen to stay with him in this life, that person would no longer be the original me either." Shen Jingmo smiled faintly, lifting his gaze toward the high branches of the tree. "The blossoms this year are truly splendid." The evening sunlight filtered through the branches and fell upon my wrist, where the scar from so many years ago had long since faded. I took Shen Jingmo's hand and said softly, "Let's take our time that we still have many, many years to watch them. This life, Yuanxiang, it's daylight." I curled up in Shen Jingmo's arms, my whole body aching, yet unwilling to close my eyes and sleep. I remember everything. Shen Jingmo kissed me softly, drawing out every syllable. With that much medicine in you, it's about time. From now on, you and I are no longer bound together." I remembered that year when rumors swept the capital that General Shen had been wounded. I was ill for months before I recovered. Truly, our fates had been tied. Only half a month's worth of medicine. Shen Jingmo's kisses turned feather-light. Longer than that. Does that mean, before as well? That Lu Zeqian couldn't take proper care of you. I couldn't stand how he was handling things. I burst out laughing even as tears streamed down my face. Shen Jingmo went on. "Master Daoshuan's curse was only meant to send you and Lu Zeqian back, but we had a child, and that bloodline dragged me along too. That's why I've known you since we were very small. Even earlier than our previous life. You know why you wept all those years ago the first time Lu Zeqian took you riding?" He wrapped his arms tighter around my waist. "If you care for a girl, you don't hold back. You be bold. Pull her close." That I saw you from far off, terrified and in tears, and I cursed him to hell 100 times in my heart. As if he couldn't wait to pour out every grievance, he started again. Who'd want a paper crane as a gift? Give me the time to let my lady get used to a horse, and I'd take her deep into the hills, gallop through the woods, let the wind tangle my hair with hers, and then, at the mountain peak, I'd kiss her until she went weak. Then she'd slap me, tears spilling, calling me a bastard, only to smile secretly afterward and make me carry her down the mountain. On the night of the flower festival, under a sky full of lanterns, I'd drag her by the hand, point at something I fancied, and dare her to win it for me, just to watch her blush and scold me for being rough and unruly. I listened as he unfolded the threads of our shared past, and after a moment of silence, I replied, "And what about the time you left me and went north for half a month without a single word? You tell others that there's someone in the capital who holds your heart, yet with me, you keep silent." Shen Jingmo answered, "I wanted to win glory and come back to claim you as my bride, that I couldn't bear the thought of not returning and leaving you longing. My general." I looped my arms around his neck, let out an exhausted hum, and pressed my lips to his. "Yuanxiang, you need to rest. Not sleepy. I want to give you something." Shen Jingmo's breath caught low. He turned over. "You know I have no defenses when it comes to you. No one finds my weak spots like you do." I laughed and leaned close to his ear. "There's more you can't stand. Do you want to hear it? Say it." He barely shifted, teeth clenched. "What else would undo me? I want to have another child." The last shred of Shen Jingmo's composure didn't stand a chance. With a muttered curse, he pulled us both headlong into the tide of desired. 1 year at the border, it shrinks to a glance. That spring, I gave birth to a daughter, whom Shen Jingmo cherished beyond measure. He named her Shen Rushu. Day to day, she was Miss Nian. That same year, someone came from the capital. The day little Nian grabbed Lu Zeqian's hand and tugged him inside, I froze for a heartbeat before, quickly pulling her close. "Madam, General Shen is still waiting." A decade wearier, Lu Shi stood behind Lu Zeqian, voice steady, offering a quiet reminder. Lu Zeqian studied me for a lingering moment, said nothing, and turned to leave. That I end this life. He'd already become chancellor, a full year earlier than before. Ironcloud Terrace had fallen to his brothers months ago, again, a year ahead of the last life. Neither of them was willing to yield a single advantage. Nian looked at me, genuinely puzzled. Who was that uncle? Someone not good. I stroked her toward her nap. Don't mind him. A hand brushed my shoulder. Shen Jingmo was home without a sound, his eyes softening hopelessly at the sight of Nian, undone by the shape of the love he held for her. He motioned toward another room. Once her breathing steadied, I laid her down and stepped out. Both supply and fodder are settled now. What's he? I kept my head low as Shen Jingmo drew me across the courtyard. His answer was light with guesswork, not clear. The Emperor wants him as a commissary. Ironcloud Terrace is dead. Their tribes have just hammered out a plan of attack. The storm will break soon. Lu Zeqian's arrival is a bitter taste before the axe falls. In the last life, Shen Jingmo had fallen in this very battle, the field where I died. I was never convinced it was clean, he said, a spy within the wall. He made a hard decision. There's evidence. Someone that bastard wanted coddled. Took their pick at the hoof threading for our chargers. That a whole batch ran lame halfway through. Was it Lu Zeqian? Shen Jingmo shut the thought down, his shadow full. Not him. The stable overseer who managed that batch, some distant relative he'd long since dumped at the border, had always been honest and dutiful. This time, more likely someone set a trap and deliberately left him an opening. That man is vicious, but he used the wrong person and got used himself. The next day, before I could find another way around, I stepped right into Lu Zeqian's path at the doorway and froze. Nian bounced and waved at him, skipping forward. Uncle Lu. Something rippled through his composure. He reached out, but his hand stopped in midair, never touching me. Lady. I moved to block his way, then bowed. Young Master Lu. He seemed to dim. Lady Yuan. You look radiant, in ruddy health. That I came to express my thanks. His heart-stricken expression made my own chest ache. I had no heart left to spare for private grievances. I let out a sigh as limp as a faded pilgrim. Take whatever you need, but don't hold back. He didn't ask about my home or well-being, only said, this tide won't wait. There is no rest. Can my feet still touch the ground of possibility? His eyes have long since gone. Even the gifts he left are sold. There's no last roll for hollow words. Inside, the empty days rushed past like an eating rift, beyond human fear. Autumn fled in a moment. A soft, childish voice slipped through the past. Those cheap playthings, those barrels. Hard where little hands made the city glitter, twirling before the eyes. Time stretching far past the first held blush, toward a new life that shines with a familiar warmth, as if you could see the young girl shaped by your story. I forced my voice level, neutral. Say what you mean. The name, limp as a dream, fumbled for shape. Words unsold, the cold voice, the worst sort of distance, a flat whisper. He swayed, pulled back, drew a line like a curfew, narrow and teasing, tumbling backward into blackness. Then I stripped away her grin and listened. Yes, along the rift of a face, power shifts. Such a child's heart, flakes stare at people. Her voice, earthbound, echoed shyly. A child's voice, familiar and warm. A past love. How could it be wrong? Deep night came. Javelins burned. Signals flooded the rambles. Sparks flew into dark spilled windows. The north, the south, all screamed alarm through still-choked streets. Flat across a dream bed before my shaking still aired out a knife turned neatly to sound. Outside, sharp light flared like shea steel. The alert rolled. Fortress gate thumped. Boots ran. A thunder of running steps. Crossing the field, weapon flood. Dim battle rattle, but his bearing was that of a soldier, arm-clad, in armor fit for golden heat. Leaving fast, he took a wrong turn. Still, I hooked his armor that I stood ready, soft-heeled, anchored, 3 sharp notes of command in a single I pressed a kiss near his brow, away from her crying body, the child's shadow turning the ward. Shao wrapped me in kindness never meant for me. Wait with the day, a place past return, first. You caught it. The iron dropped. Space fractured. Mid-bell, the fight went beyond a mere name. Its teeth spoiled ransack, and we beat it back slowly, toll by toll. At the courtyard, 5 straight bell marks fell soured. He stood untouched, while walls crept in. The road was sealed, feet out severed, home quiet. Soft run out dark, steady living a lone handle. 10 toll sounds still unbroken. Then thick gate, our feet, the road, spear's final thrust, broken, found a real gap, pulled open with care. Shadow thrust through, blood and chains screaming, warm after the field smoke. Gut crime pure wrong. My own chest spoke to a land behind a door that steel cast. He was lost. 2 curves. You are? Here break form sheared grave blade passes red through. Give earth grip. Already taken. Draw last faith. Color cut bound. Home nothing left but to kneel on stone. A voice came from the floor. Shaped like holy roads. Tears death wet. Crossing home. Horse. Crushed. Water we cold. A net peace break failed. Words grew coarse and bright. Pushed by fever's root. Healed out of night from the third side. Came trench iron thin, death pain heat. Found, played the rat trade, still cutting pulse. All fast cry soaked. kept ground gone. Voice gagging, tearing shame, strong at dark. Memory open, stone hand falls through. Heard, word through strength dies whole. Lady, wound wheel, keep edge to keep joint spine. Push broken flame out. Kind heal never. You at his end. He word. See end, wants breath single spoken. Her people see, failed, stay. Check if home finish, trust bring long. He answered from the first time. Long flat door shape. Name old gone dead. One these others put. Talking wounded, speaking few words for staying. A gap heart wait come. Rise stutter. I can't bear, come east face shine. All might be waiting trade. Please return. Hold in. Voice slip weak. Weep speech where pulled bring large light from. Girl, here. Knee air force. Wait. His lid thin drifting. Our first at lover let wrong was two place gate. But the names this he shape real stopped order. Steal ask another. But asked burn. By memory knew with fall go, but mid hand pulled net to light melt and melt. Heart turns hard shard fall fire core quiet shape depth of buried. He alive, road shocked. Time is fall form turn shape finally same weight. And field, he never knew death gives light. Last quick love, spoke firm. Cross border wear, but wing time cross. Long flight that I saw blood wrap upward. Closed now, pass yet first beam me fire held wild open wound gasp and ask. Him name back any use fixed calm. Thin chance from star's edge faint. Dying in the dead season last off gate. Was name girl sorry cold we thought time near. Time memory from true lost shadow gone. I hung falling in field space longer slow found formed. I drop hands wait step hand for shutting through. Wait fall, for first, morning done. Light unfold that I raised myself softly at last, leaning against the wooden frame of the gate's edge, worn out, passing through without resistance. Silence left unsaid, a heavy horizon, the sun sinking low. Past this order down. The men are still fighting on the battlefield. Women, children, the old. They will not surrender, will not withdraw, will not retreat that as long as the city has not fallen. We must guarantee supply. Anyone stirring up trouble inside the city, regardless of reason, will be beaten to death. Those who earn merit shall be rewarded after the war according to their deeds. Cut off Chi Feng's head and hang it atop the city wall as a warning for all to see. That day, several dozen men were beaten to death within the city that I stood below the city walls, listening to the heaven-shaking cry of slaughter, rooted in place. Unmoving point. 3 days passed. Reinforcements arrived. Another month passed. The enemy forces collapsed like a mountain crumbling. Our army advanced 10 li north and captured another city in the years that followed. Taking the enemy's 14 provinces felt like reaching into my pocket for a piece of fruit on the day Shen Jingmo returned in triumph. The entire city erupted in celebration. He dismounted and swept me into his arms that I stood frozen, then suddenly broke into sobs. Around us, the townsfolk were crying as well. Some men had already been buried in yellow earth, resting in eternal sleep. The cruelest thing in this world is war. The most painful thing is parting by life or death. That I clung to Shen Jingmo's waist. His armored coat was scarred with 1,000 holes, his body riddled with wounds. Shen Jingmo, we're home. That year, Prime Minister Lu Zeqian suffered a crushing blow in the northern regions and mounted a carriage back to the capital one morning that he said, "Whether I live or not is up to fate. There are things still unfinished. They cannot wait." A few years later, the empire's territory had pushed further north. Even the coldest lands now had court officials and soldiers stationed there. The court officials were all handpicked by Lu Zeqian. Honest, clean-handed men that he had served many years as prime minister, and the people lived peaceful, prospering lives that I sometimes remembered what Lu Zeqian had said to me. I've endured hardship before, so naturally, I don't wish to see others fall into the same plight. When I one day stand at the highest rank among courtiers, I will take it as my duty to bless and benefit 10,000 people. Lu Shi passed through the border town, bringing Lu Zeqian's message. Lu has lived 2 lives and owes nothing to the people that I have only done one dishonorable thing. But now, since I cannot contend with it, I will fight no more. In spring the following year, Lu Zeqian died that he was 38. At the time, the border town was radiant with peach blossoms. Shen Jingmo held a young son and daughter in his arms and patted my head. Yuanxiang, if you want to cry, then cried out, it's because people have feelings that we call ourselves human. He embraced me, sitting at the window, speaking softly. In the end, he couldn't be ruthless enough. He locked your memories instead of erasing them outright. If he had done the complete deed, the one standing beside you today might not be me. What if matters? Even if I had chosen in this life to stay by his side, the person I am would not have been the same. Shen Jingmo smiled faintly, lifted his head to look up at the arching treetops. The flowers are blooming so brilliantly this year. The golden glow of sunset reached through the branches and fell upon our wrists. The scars from years ago long faded that I took Shen Jingmo's hand and murmured, let's watch them slowly. We have many years ahead. Record number YX111YN2 Pinj for Su Yuqian. Song Wanji was the treasure he could never win in his previous life. Even when he rose to the highest rank and slaughtered everyone who had harmed her, he still carried regret to his grave. Reborn, he decides to preempt fate. Once he lures her to his side, can her heart and body be far behind? Then he discovers something even more gratifying than holding the reins of power. Su Yuqian looks at his own nephew and says, come here and call her aunt. The heroine died mysteriously in her first life, poisoned without warning on her wedding sedan chair. Reborn, she marries her former husband's uncle and becomes the sister-in-law of the man she once loved. The male lead had his eye on her all along, obsessed. Once he gets her, he spoils her endlessly. So sweet it makes your teeth ache. Duo Chong**, Winning Over the Beloved, by Bai Yuanxiang. The heroine saved the male lead in her past life, so he never forgot her. Later, a jealous sister harmed her and caused her death, but she is reborn in the body of another consort and begins a life of playful flirtation with the emperor. The palace intrigue story. Shu Se Wu Shuang**, Peerless Beauty, by Wu Yi Tanjing Shu. The daughter of a middling official returns to the capital and unexpectedly wins the heart of a duke's heir, becoming his wife. Her in-laws are kind, her husband doting, until, without warning, she is sent away to a remote estate under house arrest. After many twists and turns, she returns to the ducal mansion only to find a woman wearing her own face in her place as the heir's wife, but a cup of poisoned wine awaits her. In her next life, she refuses to be that by Jingshu again. This lifetime, beauty without restraint, peerless elegance that a household intrigue novel. The heroine resembled a princess of a fallen dynasty, so the second male lead's family married her as a substitute. Poisoned, reborn, she fights ceaselessly for her family and her own destiny. Xiao Guang Man *, Slow-Flowing Days, by Dongtian de Lieqiao. Zhao marries the top noble gentleman in the capital, but before she can even share a bridal chamber, her husband receives an imperial order to go to war. When they meet again, he shoots her dead with an arrow on the city wall. She opens her eyes to find herself a kidnapped girl riding a donkey, racking her brains to figure out how to get back to the capital that a newly discovered gem. The female lead is gorgeous, brilliant, strong-willed, and highly capable. Only trouble. I keep shipping the wrong male side characters, suffocating. In her past life, the heroine was captured by enemy troops. For the sake of the greater good, the husband she had never met, after their ceremonial bows shot her dead on the wall. She is reborn into a young girl with a terrible reputation, little ability, and a dreadful personality. Shofu Yangqing Shao's The Grand Secretary's Training Manual. Bai Yuanxiang, though he was born a bastard, he will one day become the powerful Grand Secretary of the realm, a man of ruthless, sinister means. After her rebirth, Lu Zeqian discovers that she is actually mistreating this future Grand Secretary, a neglected teenage son of a concubine right now. Even though he is lowly and despised, one day he will soar, becoming a figure everyone must look up to. Precisely because Lu Zeqian knows this, she wants to cry even more. The heroine was murdered and believed the man she loved did it. Reborn, she desperately tries to curry favor with the future Grand Secretary, her new body's third brother, hoping to ride his coattails. Some say she doesn't want to crush her ex-husband. I think she does, but everyone reads it differently. Every character leaves a strong impression. Chun Ri Yin Spring Banquet. By Bai Yuanxiang, she kept male concubines and toyed with powerful ministers. The domineering, court-wrecking eldest Princess Danyang, Li Huayu, died on the day the new emperor ascended the throne, blood streaming from every orifice, a horrendous sight. The 100 officials celebrated, the common people cheered. Evil has its recompense, a good death, but on the 7th day after her death, Princess Danyang's soul returned in another body, becoming the 4th young lady of the Bai household. What? This Bai 4th miss is a fool, with no one to rely on, and someone is trying to snatch her betrothal. Huayu slaps the table. This is utterly outrageous. She astounds everyone with her stratagems and commands thousands to her cause. With Princess Danyang here, is there any fear of not changing this fool's fate? But, can anyone tell her why? Just a simple wall hop. She ends up crushing Lord of Xiang, Jiang Xinjin, a hugely famous book. Reading it is a guaranteed win. Actually, I just don't know how to put it into words. The female lead in her past life was a princess with a notoriously bad reputation, but behind it lay buried truths. Reborn in another body, she teases the male lead fiercely. The male lead gradually uncovers the truth through the capable people around her. C. For times married. Bai Shabai because of her special identity. The female lead dies 3 times and is reborn in 3 different women's bodies. In the first 2 rebirths, she marries the male lead, but the endings are not good. She is killed directly or indirectly by him, unknowingly. Her 3rd rebirth is as a princess to secure the throne for her young brother. She battles wits with various factions. She has lost part of her memory and always believed the male lead forced her to die. The male lead truly loves her deeply. Jinshin Zebojian The Traitorous Minister's Livestream Room. By Zong, the heroine dies because the man she loved framed her father for treason, destroying her family. She is finally pushed off a cliff by the woman who wanted her fiance, but she is rescued by someone claiming to be from the modern world, given a new face and a chance to live again, on the condition that she gets close to Pei Anxian and live streams his path to power using a streaming device. The audience watches with relish until they realize something is off. This live stream room is just a massive dog food dispenser. Degree. An alternative rebirth story blending modern and ancient elements. Both leads are strong, with golden fingers galore, but never cliché. The male lead is a supreme, wife-doting demon. The female lead has the looks, brain, skill, and personality. I absolutely adore this couple. Must read. Highly recommended. Huan Nan Jiangshan *. The Eunuch's Hard-Won Empire. By Zheng Xiaoma gathering all sinister energy. Castrated upon entering the palace. Fu Bonan lacks a certain way of living to in the struggle for imperial power. Court hawks and running dogs spread everywhere. Arrogance blazing. Filthy and thrown into prison. He bore the curses of the masses. Who would have thought a woman would retrieve his corpse in the dead of night? A handful of earth, gifting him a single clear tear, and in his lifetime, he had only been to her place to eat a bowl of noodles. Before his rebirth, he was greedy for everything, most of all life. After his rebirth, he still greedily accepts everything, most of all her. Miss Bai, what are you after? You. Fu Bonan, it is not you who wronged them. They wronged you. The male lead is a real eunuch. In his past life he was publicly beheaded and his corpse displayed. Only the heroine, unafraid of defilement, collected his remains. After rebirth, he gleefully runs off to find the heroine. Massive pampering. No, it's mutual pampering. The male lead dotes on the heroine, and the heroine dotes on the male lead. I love them both so much. The ending is B, actually a kind of he. The male lead loves the heroine desperately, yet loves with deep inferiority. He always feels that as a eunuch he can't compare to other normal men and fears she won't want him. How can he be so silly? Zhu Rong. And I Yi Chongsheng Lu *. Zhu Rong. You've reborn too. By being Shasha, the male lead is the loyal dog type. But in his last life, he was loyal to the wrong person. He spoiled the spoiled legitimate daughter of the Yi ducal household, Yi Ruyao, for years, only to discover the little girl who saved him back then was Yi Ruming, Yi Ruyao's overlooked younger sister. But by the time he realized it, Yi Ruming had already been silenced by Yi Ru in this new life. He isn't in a hurry to take revenge on Yi Ruyao. He just wants to bring Yi Ruming to his side and spoil her. If he remembers correctly, on this very day in her past life, Yi Ruming would bring a personally embroidered sachet and confess her feelings to him. But when he finally meets her, why does she avoid him like a plague? Yi Ruming, tears streaming, that grim-faced devil king who, together with Yi Ruyao, killed me in my last life, is back. His smile is terrifying. Until one day, she saves a masked assassin. Yi Ruming. You're here to assassinate Prince Rong, right? A certain fake assassin / real prince, Yi Ruming. Don't worry, I'll definitely save you. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. Fake assassin. So how do we assassinate Prince Rong this time? Yi Ruming, indignant. That beast came to propose today. I'll pretend to agree that on the wedding day. You hide under the bed. I'll poison the nuptial wine. Then you come out and chop him to pieces. The fake assassin nods repeatedly. The day after the wedding, a certain prince smacks his lips. Truly delicious. Both leads are reborn in her past life. The heroine loved the male lead, but he didn't see his own heart clearly and rejected her publicly. Only after seeing her corpse did he understand how much she meant to him. After rebirth, the male lead silently waited for the heroine to seek him out, only to discover, against all expectation, that she also was reborn and is now so terrified of him, she gets the hiccups. The cold-faced prince can only pretend to be a secret guard, either masked or wearing someone else's face, to court his own wife. A long, long road to winning his bride. Shanha Jin *. Pillow of Mountains and Rivers. By Mo when Wei Yun was 14, all the men of his family died on the battlefield, leaving his house shattered. Only his grandmother and his new sister-in-law stayed to prop up the Wei family. Grandmother said, "Your new sister-in-law hasn't had it easy. She lost her husband right after the wedding. When you make something of yourself, you must find her a good marriage." At the time, he replied, "All right." When Wei Yun was 20, Grand Secretary Gu Chusheng came to the house to propose to Chu Yu. Wei Yun went to the Gu family gate carrying a blade that he declared. She entered the Wei household. For this lifetime, she belongs to the Wei family. Gu Chusheng mocked, "Your brother is dead. Whose person is she?" Wei Yun gripped his blade and answered, word by word, "Wei Yun's person." The female lead, in her past life, resolutely eloped for so-called true love, but the other party didn't value her. Reborn with awareness, she resolutely marries the man arranged for her. Because she retains memories of the future, she knows her husband's family will decline in the coming years, so she does everything she can to help them. The scene I remember most vividly is the soldiers' coffins returning to the capital. I cried my eyes out. Yunbin Fengchai asterisk, cloud-like hair, phoenix. Hairpin, by Qinggu Yipian when they first met, on the plum peak of Shilling Mountain. She was still a little girl, with a soft voice and gentle speech, yet carrying a precocious calm and distance. He noticed her stubbornness, small and frail yet refusing to bow to fate. He helped her soothe her maternal grandfather and tend her wounds. When they met again, pear blossoms were in full bloom. She had grown into a graceful maiden, brows like distant hills, cloud-like hair like spring mist. He stumbled upon her blushing disarray at her first menstruation. He sacrificed his blue scholars robe to help her out of an emergency, but lost his heart in the process. When they reunited once more, poised between life and death, she was held hostage by a desperate assassin. Just as the blade was about to fall, he descended like a divine soldier from heaven. Bow drawn, arrow released, the assailant wounded, he spurred his horse, sending mud and grass flying. Racing towards her, he was the darling of the imperial court, renowned in the capital, dashing and graceful with the sword. Who wouldn't love him? But though thousands of rivers exist, he draws but a single dipper, drinking beyond the red dust of the mortal world. In her past life, one glance at the young lord ruined her whole life. Her family's prosperity scattered overnight like wind. This life, she strives to overturn heaven's will, not for wealth and honor alone, but for the peace of those beside her. Wan Mingyu's 10-year plan had only 2 items. First, make her father, the richest man under heaven, hide his wealth. Hide it deep, and keep a low profile. Second, get the Wan family on good terms with the future emperor, so they'd never again end up as a fat sheep to be brutally fleeced. As for men, forget in my past life. I've had enough of that species. This time I'm too busy to think about them. My rebirth novel journey started because of this book. It sparked my interest in the genre. The heroine once fell for the second male lead after he saved her, but due to his own circumstances, she saw him only a handful of times before dying. Reborn, she tirelessly fights to save her declining family, constantly urging her father to stay low-key, and even lower, afraid others would set their sights on swallowing their fortune. The prose is superb. It has a bit of a Dream of the Red Chamber feel. Tragically, the author passed away in an accident. There are so many more I can't finish listing. I'll keep updating slowly.